was like a real big scandal back in 4 or 5 years ago, where the host was also playing the tournament, which is very rare to see. He had access to everyone's cards, and he would look at his phone, like from time to time.
That's not obvious at all.
Yeah, it's just like everyone's like before he makes like a big decision, he like looks at his phone and makes an action.
Jesus.
And I was like, oh, that is weird. This is very sus.
So, Jay, thanks for coming. One of the reasons I wanted you on to teach me poker was because of gambling demos, right? I want better patter for my gambling demos. Tell me about poker and tell me about, like, I guess let's start with, like, the common misconceptions or the common things that, like, people get wrong about poker, if that makes any sense. Because I feel like it's kind of in the mainstream enough that people know about it, but there's probably so many things that are like, you know, like magicians. Oh, you must use the sleeve. Well, not really, but
let's think about poker. I mean, like poker from history. If you're just going by history, I think it's started with obviously the invention of playing cards, but it comes with whole gambling tradition. What you see in like the old Western movies aren't typically the poker that you hear today. There was like what do you call it? Like a trend like back in the 80s, where rather than the 5-stud poker, there was the introduction of Texas, which is a simpler version where you get dealt 2 cards. You have 5 cards on the board, flop, turn, river, and that's what kind of like piqued the interest in poker. So
is that, would you say that's the most popular type? Like
Texas 100%.
Right.
Like all the big tournaments are all Texas Hold'em.
So what's the, like, why would someone play certain like different rule sets or whatever? Like, are there benefits to other rule sets, or is it just sort of like preference?
There's okay. So in my opinion, Texas Hold'em is a game where it's really dictated by skill. Like, obviously you're playing with cards and probability, and luck comes into effect as well. But out of all the popular games that's being played at the moment, Texas Hold'em has least amount of luck involved.
Gotcha.
If I can say that, I think.
So maybe not least amount of luck, but most amount of luck mitigation. Would that be?
Yes, that might be more correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not to say that luck isn't involved. It is involved. It's just other games. So, do you know any other like gambling card games? Like, obviously not.
Blackjack is the other one that's pretty big, right?
Okay, so when I'm talking about games, I'm talking about games that's like you're not playing against the house. You're playing against a player.
Gotcha.
So like the biggest one would be PLO, so pot limit Omaha. Have you heard?
Okay, I have heard of it.
Yeah, so Omaha is a different kind of poker game.
Okay.
There's also Pineapple.
Okay.
And that's also a little bit different.
Okay.
Those are kind of more luck involved. More like a lot more luck involved than your traditional Texas Hold'em.
Okay. So basically, if you want to get good at one, Texas Hold'em is the one to go, like the direction to go.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Oh, it's the easiest to learn, but hardest to master.
Okay.
There's a big gap between novice to expert. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you want to walk me through the rules, assuming I know nothing? Because I kind of do, like, I know a little bit, but probably not enough to.
All right, so we'll talk about other games later, but I'll just go talk about the big one, which is the Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
Do you know your hierarchy? Like you're the weakest to your strongest. Obviously, everyone knows the royal flush being the strongest.
This is actually one of the things that like I never figured out how to remember.
Okay.
So I remember there was a certain deck of cards that used to come with like all the hands in order of strength.
Yes.
And whenever I remember like playing poker at high school or in high school just for fun or whatever in lunchtime. and I would like quickly like look at that card before the game to try to remember what the fuck is going on.
Yes.
So I'm at that level where like I can't really even remember how to remember the order.
But you played poker in high school?
Yeah,
How did you do that?
It was at a Christian school as well.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they were pissed. But the problem was like one of the teachers was also playing, and he was just like, "It's all right, don't worry about it."
Were you playing for like?
We had like chips, but we weren't playing for money.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay. That's a little bit okay.
Yeah,
But still quite iffy. Okay. Oh, I wish I had a high school teacher that would teach me poker.
Yeah, he was cool. I mean, he didn't. Again, I was like, it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, I know how to play. Fuck, and then quickly like look up some shit, you know. But I don't. Yeah.
By chance, was he like a stats teacher or something?
He was a lot of things. He did do like calculus and stats. He did teach that, but he could teach like almost every subject. It was fucking ridiculous. Like legit. Like if someone was like, oh, we need a chemistry teacher this year. Can you take more hours or whatever? He'll be like, oh yeah, easy. Like he's like legit one of the closest things to like a teacher, to a genius teacher I've ever like met. It was crazy. But anyway.
Okay, okay. So, obviously you dealt. Texas Hold'em is you dealt 2 cards to yourself, and you have 5 playing, so 5 on the board, and you try to make a best combination. Out of it. Obviously, the hierarchy goes as high card. So obviously you have your 2 being the lowest and ace being the highest.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have your pairs. So pair of aces, pair of 2s.
Yeah. So a pair of 2s would beat 1 ace. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after a pair will be 2 pair. So if you have, let's say, ace and 3, and then on the board it's like another ace and a 3, then you have 2 pair.
Gotcha.
After that would be your trips.
Triple.
So triple. Like people think it's like strong, but when you have a trips, it's not. It is strong. It's just depending on the situation.
See, that's what I don't understand. Like this sort of situational, like, oh, it's in this situation is stronger than, like, I watched like poker tournaments and I'm like, what the fuck is the strategy they're talking about that I don't understand? But anyway, we'll get to it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you have your trips and then you have your straight. Straight is consecutive, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So
and that's any suit.
Any suit.
Okay.
Yeah, or mixture, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
After that will be your flush. So 5 cards of the same suit.
So okay, yeah.
Getting there?
Yeah.
Okay. So straight after a flush, you have your full house. So full house is so you have your pair and the strips. So
1 triple and then 1 pair.
Yeah.
So 3 3s and
so if you have your
2
7 6 like that, and on the board will be like 7 6.
Is that on camera? Yeah, cool.
Like that.
Gotcha.
So that'll be your family kind of thing.
So you would have your triple and your double right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a full house. Sorry. After that, you have your quads.
Okay, so after a full house.
After a full house,
okay.
only thing that beats the full house is a quad.
Okay.
It's a quad and quads. And then you have your straight flush. Straight flush is obviously your typical straight of the same suit. And then obviously the top dog, one that beats all, royal flush.
Gotcha.
Meaning it has to be 10, jack, queen, king, ace, same suit.
Which is like almost impossible to get, right? Like,
it's impossible. Well, it's all luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen it happen multiple times. I never got it. I've gotten like few straight flushes in my lifetime.
Fuck. How long have you been playing? Like,
I've been playing since 2015. It's about 7 years.
7 years, and that like how many times a week would you say on average?
I'll say I'll spend about if I was like, there was a time in my life where I played literally every day.
Yeah.
And literally like every day I meant like I played like 6 hours, 7 hours a day.
This motherfucker's a black belt in poker right here. Jesus Christ.
Obviously, I don't have time to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I haven't been doing so. I think
That's still pretty crazy if you think about like the amount of, like 7 years of regular play.
Yeah.
And you've never had that hand, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. Well, okay. Okay, that would be a lie then, because I have had straight flushes, royal flush, on like online poker tournaments.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I haven't seen it. I haven't had a live poker give me a royal flush.
Gotcha.
That's hard to come by.
Yeah. And on online, I guess you can play many more hands, right?
Yeah, online I'm playing like 3-4 tournaments at once.
Right. So 3 tables in the same time. Or
Yeah.
4. Yeah. Okay.
So you dealt more hands, you play more hands,
Mm-hmm.
you have more chance that
Yeah.
one's bound to come, or like in your lifetime if
yeah.
you play that much. Let's see.
So that's like the general thing, right? So what's the dealing structure is?
All right. Okay. Well, I'll just shuffle.
Yeah.
I just prefer doing it's easy hand to shuffle. Okay. So normally on a poker table, you'll have 8 players. 8 players and a dealer.
And that's considered like a full table.
There'll be a full table.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can push, but generally in a tournament setting, 8 is the max. So, do you guys have anything? Okay, let's just say, this is a nice poker table. All right, so let's say this is a dealer position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the dealer from towards left side, small blind, big blind, they'll start handling all cards. Let's just say 5 players to the left of him. Starting with the small blind, they'll start dealing 5 cards. 2 cards to each. And then this is a phase where you in the poker game where it's called pre-flop.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
yeah, so 3 cards. That's okay. So normally it will be a burn card. 3. That's your flop.
And the burn is just to make cheating harder. Is that what it's the idea? Okay.
It is. Obviously, no one knows what that card is. That could make or break.
So it's like hidden information, kind of.
Yes. So like in blackjack, not blackjack, in the casino where they will have a shoe with a card and they'll just disregard all the cards that's behind the card. It works in the same principle.
Right.
So no one knows that. So another burn card.
Yeah.
This will be a turn card.
Okay.
And you have another burn card. So 3 cards are burnt. And then there will be a river.
Right. So if you had to stack the deck, you'd need to stack it with something in between in that position as a magician.
Yes. Yeah. If you can find a way to stack with this in mind.
Yeah.
And be able to execute it.
Yeah.
I would say that's really impressive.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the gambling demo stuff is not my forte. Yeah. But it's still an interesting problem to solve, you know?
So I've seen many gambling demonstrations done by other friends. But it's all not usable. Like the way they do it is they nitpick certain rules to make what they can do work. Haven't seen anyone yet that can replicate the exact rule and have a desirable outcome or plan it out. So
I'll ask you about cheating later on, but that's fine. Yeah,
so
cool.
Yeah, and then so let's say I have 6-4 hearts. This guy has obviously there's your pre-flop before that, and everyone makes a bet. It goes around. Those are all
and the small and the big blind are forced into that hand, right?
Yes. So in a tournament setting, you have your small blind, and you have your big blind, and there's what you call ante. So ante is every round, everyone has to pay a certain amount. So it kind of gets people making the action,
it forces you to
play. Yeah. Because if you just fall, you're still losing money, and no one wants that. So everyone.
So you have to make the decision of can I get away with playing this hand and minimize my losses that way, or do I just keep paying out every time?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So in a tournament setting, I'll talk about tournaments. It's just easier.
Mm-hmm.
There's other forms later on, but in tournament setting, everyone starts. There's a buy-in. Everyone starts the same. Every like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, the blinds go up, ante goes up, and it's progressed by levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like level 1 with the easiest, level 5, level 6, up to like level 14. The blinds will be so high that you'll only be playing like few hands at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so you have like, so basically let's try. I don't think I shuffled this well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of hearts on there. Okay, so can you open that as well?
Yep. 2 hearts too.
That's so good.
All right.
Okay.
I'll do it here. So if depending on the camera angle.
All right. Oh, nice. Not too bad.
Okay. So 3 5s, ace, jack, and a king.
Okay. Obviously, I didn't shuffle this very well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. In this scenario, who do you
So
think won?
That's a pair.
So a pair of 5s.
Yeah, this
Nothing.
nothing.
Pair of aces.
There's no clubs on the board. No. Okay.
They're all hot. So
Yeah. No, I meant yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now
Pair of threes,
Pair of
but
three.
still lower
Yeah.
than the 5. So what? The 5s? Oh no, pair of aces. Here we go.
aces.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Hopefully. Okay. I'll do this a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just give this a wash. Makes it easier to shuffle. Makes it easier. Normally, I should have washed. Just easier.
Yeah. So you like the washes, huh?
No, it's like because all the decks are arranged.
Yeah.
And even in tournament settings, they're all arranged at the start.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what do you call it, like a starting thing that everyone just washes it.
That's good to know if I'm ever performing for a poker guy. Like do some stuff with washing because
if you can,
yeah.
I know a few techniques where
Yeah.
you can control the wash.
The problem with I'm sure with poker people, like I'm sure they know a lot of like cheating stuff because it's in their interest.
Yes.
So it's like,
Like a lot of my poker friends,
yeah.
I was quite surprised because like, your typical bottom dealing, like dealing from the bottom, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Or second dealing, which is, do you know how to do it? Oh, nice. That's pretty clean.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. So so they all know that. That's like very typical. But they know other like, I think one of my friends showed me like trying to deal from the middle as well.
Oh yeah, the Greek deal. Yeah.
Like that's a technique like I only know because I have friends in the magic scene. But even like those people, like even poker people know that it is physically
Possible.
it is possible.
Yeah.
Obviously anything is possible, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I was quite surprised that and they know how to spot it, which is also a very interesting thing.
It makes sense because you have so much reference experience seeing the right way to do things.
Yeah.
That any slight discrepancy would be like, wait a minute, what the fuck was that? Like I could totally see that because you spend enough thousands of hours watching someone deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just playing just to get the what do you call it? Oh sorry. That was a blank card. To get like your brain active to see what's like.
So should I flip these?
Yeah, might as well just a force of habit. This is a little bit easier.
And I'll do this here as well, so that these are all separate hands, by the way.
All right.
Okay, so we've got a pair of 9s and a pair, so 2 pair.
Yeah.
So that one wins.
Well, let's go. Yeah. So that hand currently has 2 pair.
Yep.
That card Queen 4 has nothing.
Yeah. Queen 2
Queen
also
2
nothing.
has nothing.
Queen 10.
Queen
nothing.
10 nothing. Oh, queens on the board. Queen 6 nothing. Yeah. So
Yep.
in your case, you're right.
Yep.
2 pair beats everything here. This is playing for a gutty, which is they needed a jack in the middle to complete a straight.
Oh, yeah.
Also for this as well, it needs a 4 to complete a straight, but it's missing that. That's completely dead. That's also missing a 2 to complete a straight. Well, that's your like.
So you'd be like if I was playing this dude here, right?
Yes.
And I'd see these first 3 cards come out. I can see I got a pair.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm a good spot here, right?
Yes.
Like that. Like I've got a pair and ace. Like that's generally speaking a good idea, right? Surely.
Yes.
Okay.
You have
And
what you
then-
call top pair.
Yeah. Okay. And then once the second what's this called?
Turn card.
The turn.
Yeah.
Once the turn happens, then I know I'm like, okay, this is fucking mean.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, okay, so like
But
I
then
said,
I'm worried about straights and shit as
all
well.
circumstantial at that point. So okay, so just taking you through the thinking logic behind it, right?
Mhm.
And knowing the hierarchy. Obviously, every poker player knows the hierarchy. You have what you have ace 9, but they're offsuit.
Okay.
And then this is when all the cards are face down. You go through a round, going around and making initial bets on the cards that you have. There's if in a game, one round of poker game, it's divided into 2 sections: pre-flop game and post-flop game. So this is called the flop.
Right.
Anything that happens
yeah.
after is post-flop,
Gotcha.
which is you need a different set of skills. And pre-flop is all about math. It's all.
It sounds
math.
like very much like almost like opening versus middle game in chess.
Yes.
Like
yes.
there's just like a barrier where it's like, oh, this is like very theoretical. Now we're moving in tactics. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Something very close. So, So pre-flop game is a different technique on its own. Post-flop, different set of skills.
Okay.
So going through, let's say everyone calls, everyone is waiting for the flop, right?
Mhm.
The flop comes down. You have ace 9, and then you have an ace here, and what you have is ace 3 king of all different suits. So we call that in poker term a rainbow.
Okay.
So different suit rainbow. Immediately, you like in general, you should be very good because you don't have to worry about a flush coming down. So if it was a spade like this, even though you have top pair, there's a chance that another spade might come down, and
so someone could have 2 spades in his hand.
Yeah. So like those things that you have to keep wary of every time. Obviously, in this case, I mean, there's so many scenarios that like it's really hard to explain on like the time frame that we have. So yeah, going just like this would be a typical game of poker. Just you see your ace, you're good, you start betting. People like queen 4 will probably fold in that position because there's nothing.
There's nothing they got.
It's not looking for anything. Queen 6 will fold as well. Queen 2 will also fold. Like there's nothing from at that position. So here's the interesting thing. So ace king, queen 10.
Yeah.
Right? This is where it gets quite tricky. So if you bet, knowing that you have top pair, this guy would most likely call.
Yeah.
Or depending on the situation, obviously, but he'll call because he knows, even if he knows that you have an ace or a king, he can beat that if a jack comes.
Yeah.
And obviously, as we know, there's 4 jacks. And 4 jacks out of 52 cards, that's like, it's about 10%. Roughly.
I should have paid more attention on stats, but I get you here. Yeah.
So there's about 10% that jack will come out, or poker terms with 4 outs. He has 4 outs.
Why is that why is it called 4 outs?
So he has 4 cards
that
can defeat the current situation.
Okay,
so he has
I see.
4 outs to win. All he needs
outs in Magic means a completely different thing, but I got you now.
Yeah.
Got you now. I'm same page.
Yeah. So like in poker, like in the game of poker, we'll call it like, oh, this guy has 1 out. This guy has 2 outs. This guy has 3 outs, 4 outs.
What's the number of outs that would be considered like safe? Or is that not a thing?
No, so like Oh, what do you mean? As in safe? As in like,
Like
he's gonna win?
Like it's safe to bet this thing.
Oh yeah. So you can literally have half the deck, any card that comes after that you can like flip it around.
So like a 50-50 shot, basically.
Yeah, 50-50 shot.
Okay.
You can do this literally as like you can have a scenario where literally half the deck that you're playing with will help you.
Okay.
So many terminologies. It's really hard to like start from whatever's from beginning. But so in this scenario, he would have maybe, depending how much you bet, but obviously he'll most likely call seed of turn, which is a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Still the same. He needs the jack there, jack here. If he checks, he'll probably do a check, see the card, fold.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple.
So you reckon he would see that card and then fold after that, or
he'll see this card.
Yeah.
And then most likely that whoever holds the ace 9 will bet more, right?
Try to push the is that a thing? Push the action?
Push, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He'll obviously he'll make the action.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that okay, so let's say when you have these two cards face down, right?
Yeah.
And he's looking for the jack.
Yeah.
You know there's 4 jacks, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's 2 chances to get 4
jacks. There's 2 chances.
Jacks. Right.
And like I said before, if there's 4 jacks and there's 52 of cards, probably less, but like it's about 10%, right?
Okay.
If you have 2 chances, do you know what's the chance of him hitting a jack?
If there's 2 chances of 4?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Knowing that 4 out of whatever is like 10%. A jack coming on this card is 10%.
Would that be just 20?
Yeah, exactly.
More or less? Yeah.
20, which isn't a bad chance.
Right. Like it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. It's not like 1%.
Yeah. So like if for whatever reason this guy calls, you wouldn't be like, like let's just see the next card. Obviously. Yeah.
So you'll see this card, and his chances of winning
went down.
Is half now because he's only looking for that card to be a jack.
Yeah.
So at that position, and knowing that, he knew okay, now my win chance was 20%, now 10%, and whatever you bet, knowing that you're fully well secured with your 2 pair. You might bet high. You might try to trap him, or just like check.
Now let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If you were playing, and you're looking at the board and you see there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 cards that we know of that aren't jacks.
Yeah.
Would you then try to calculate the chances of it being like in that deck? You know what I'm saying? Like, would you go 52 minus 14? And then try to figure out the chances, or would you just go by feel? Like how deep does the calculation go in the open, like the pre river, whatever the hell this is, turn?
Okay.
Like, are you actually like analyzing the numbers as accurately as you can, or is it more of a like general like
general? I don't think there's obviously knowing that 3 burn card that we don't know, and obviously these cards are hidden, right?
Yeah, true. You wouldn't know that there's no jacks.
Know these cards.
That's a good point. Yeah, right? I didn't think of that. So reality, you would only be minusing 3, which doesn't really affect it much.
Doesn't affect much.
Okay.
Right. All these are obviously you're playing with these cards hidden.
They could be jacks too. Yeah. Okay, my bad.
So you're like, but then like, there's a limit of information you can get, but there's always way of stealing information from other people.
Right.
Obviously, this is why like pre-flop is in my opinion, a whole different game than post-flop. So this is going really in depth. So post-flop is is all about math, but it's all about seeing how other people react to the situation with only holding 2 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no, like, you can't have enough information to make a suitable judgment with only holding 2 cards out of 52.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's like, and
So you could basically deduce if these guys didn't fold, pardon me, fold pre-flop.
Yeah.
And then they folded once they saw this, you could deduce they don't have jacks.
So
Right?
let's say in pre-flop, right?
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, so let's say this is small blind, big blind. You actually explain this terminology before. Okay, so small blind, big blind, and then you call that position under the gun, so UTG.
Okay.
And then you normally have 8 players, and you have UTG plus 1, UTG plus 2.
Okay.
You have your dealer, and then right before the dealer will be your.
Does the dealer play too?
No,
No.
play.
Okay, yeah, I thought
But
so.
like, so the dealer button moves around because
okay.
as the dealer button moves around, the small and big blind also moves.
Move around. Yeah.
The dealer is just the button that goes
I
around.
see.
The physical dealer is
It's just
there.
Okay.
So you have your right behind the dealer will be a cutoff, and it's like a position that is given like a title, and then the one before is called hijack. There's a reason for all these names, and going like in depth will be like depending on your position, different ways that you need to play. Like you call these early positions, so UTG under the gun plus 1. Small, big will be your early, like early position, and then you call your dealer, cutoff and hijack being your late positions.
Okay.
And obviously, like UTG plus 2, 3, and 4 will be your middle position.
Okay.
And it changes around. That's like too in depth to go into.
Right, but what you're saying is that you can look at these guys and see how they're playing for their position and be like, oh, that doesn't match up. You must be bluffing or whatever the hell. Like there's information you get based on where they're playing, right?
Yeah. So, so it'll be small blind, big blind. He's first to act. He knows he has ace 9. He could.
So he's under the gun. Is that?
Yep, he's under the gun. So he can either and every time you have 3 options, or sometimes 2, but in most cases 3 options. You can fold, call, raise. And so he has an ace 9. You can either just call the big blind, be in the UTG position, which he most likely will, but that's besides the point.
Because he doesn't want to scare anyone off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And under the gun with ace 9 isn't like a super good position.
Okay.
And then queen 4 off would probably fold. Queen 6 would fold because it's useless. Like no offense to the queen and the 4 and the queen and the 6, they're quite useless.
Full offense given to those queens and 4s, man.
So yeah, so this will also fold. At best, the big blind would just check, knowing he only has queen 10 off, right? So these cards are already out of sight, out of mind.
Right. Boom.
And then the flop comes, and then my action will be, and then the action, and then will come your flop. I have the first action. I'll say, oh, okay, I have a gutted for a straight. I can check this, or I can bet. If I bet, I'll bet whatever. And then depending on your reaction, I can deduce either if you have an ace, king, or 3.
Ooh, so you're actually looking to see.
Yeah.
How do you know that though? How do you know specifically which one it is? That's
not specifically, but so on a poker table, everything is information. Any like sudden movement, like this is all going to like the post flop game, where there are mentalist tricks. This is kind of stupid, but like when I was like really into poker, and like really developing the skills to be a good player, like one of my go-to books was a mentalist book.
What's it called?
Keegan told me about it.
Okay.
And it's just the basic, like it's like cold reading.
Yeah.
This is like a good skill to have. And like And there's also it goes in like there's some like correlation with the poker's technique as well, where people's habit seems to be like, if they're like keeping their if you have a stack of chips, your chips, you keep looking at your chips down, looking at your chips, meaning like or your like, how your position. It's like these small little things. Obviously I know I have Queen 10. If I bet and if he's if he let's say he's just a very honest player, he knows he has top pair, right? He can either re-raise. I'm like, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
He's strong. He either has
the best hand on the board.
Yeah,
right?
or like ace king, ace or a king. Like he has one of those at least. Like you're not gonna raise with a
3 pair
with a bottom pair, right? So I need to be careful. Like those are like smaller information.
But so okay, so he could have a triple too, right?
Yeah, he could have like.
But then bottom triple, still pretty good, right?
But like, even like that's all beating me at the moment.
Yeah.
So I need if I'm like okay, so I need to make sure okay, what does he have, and like at best here, he can't have a flush. He can't he's not drawing for a flush. He can't have. He might have a straight, but then his straight.
Because if he was drawing, if he was drawing for a flush, he wouldn't be betting here, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah,
he'd be calling to see the next card.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what these cards are.
Yeah.
And with this,
so if he's betting aggressively, he's got something on the board now.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, it's all at that position. So like if I'm first to bet, if I make an action, I bet. If he raises, then I know okay, I need to be careful. I like. What can I beat? What cards do I think he has? Is he like a loose player who just makes a lot of actions? So does he actually have an ace? Does he have a king? Or is he just trying to bluff with a pair of threes? Or is he also like, does he have 4-5 and he wants a 2 to make a straight? Like all these like little information.
So you can go ace 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can go backwards as well. Like even though ace is the top card, you can go the other way.
Oh yeah, you can go. Yeah, so the weakest straight would be ace to a 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I need to be wary of that. Yes, if I make an action, he raises, then I need to be wary of that. If if my information, if I have this hand, and if I know from your raise that you have an ace, and I know that if a jack comes out, I have 20%. If jack comes out, that pair of aces is worthless, right? So I might make the call, and if the 9 comes out, it's still a no help to me, right?
So do you think you would fold here, or would you wait?
I'll fold, and depending on the action so right, I'll just check.
Right. I see. If they check, then you wait for the next one.
And then if they are nice enough to check, then I get to see the river card. If they bet because they want to push me off the cards, they can do that. And most likely, about 99% of players will fold.
Okay.
Yeah, 99% of players will fall in this situation. Yeah.
So this kind of relies on everyone playing correctly too, right?
Yes.
Because I'm sure if you're playing against some scrub, he's making completely idiotic moves. You're like, what the fuck am I reading? Can't figure out.
There are certainly players like that. We call them donkeys. They are there to play for fun, and they're there to gamble, not a skill-based game.
Right.
But when you're playing poker, you're gonna come across those people, and it's just part of the game.
But in a way, I guess if you're playing solid, over time you probably just win money from them.
Yes.
So it's not that bad, right?
It's not too. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, while you're talking about this, like overall. Oh, okay. There's so much it's really hard to structure this talk about just poker in general because there's so much. There's literally so much information because it's such a simple game. Yeah. I know you're really into chess, right? Do you you think you can explain, other than the basic rule, the strategies behind chess?
There's like, in the similar way where you're explaining phases and stuff. There's like, middle game, opening, middle game, end game, and then but you wouldn't be able to like go, okay, so now here are all the openings. Like that's we could be here for years.
Yeah, exactly. So poker is the same.
Yeah.
It's every round of poker is like you're playing chess. Yeah. And like a small mistake can be very disastrous, like in chess. So so it's really hard to like I thought about on my way here. It's like, how do I structure this conversation to explain poker? And it's not. Yeah, it's very hard.
Like so let's say like I want to get into like competitive poker, right?
All right.
What's my step by step? Like, what would you be like? Okay, read this book, do this thing, focus on this, play online games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's my like step by step process to getting like to a competent level? Let's just say that.
Honest opinion, stop playing.
Yeah.
Just sign up to, because you can play for free for most of the poker sites. There's always like play money and real money. You can always play money. Even like on Facebook, the WSOP games, like those are like you like they give you coins, like fake money to play. That's always a good start. Just get yourself involved in poker as much as you can. Obviously, the gambling part is also, be wary of that, because it is technically gambling. It's not. I firmly believe poker, like in a tournament setting, where everyone has an entrance fee and all playing at the same level, is not gambling.
Right, because you're not like losing more than you can afford, right? Like there's an entrance fee and that's it.
Yeah. Even like in normal like poker, like sports scene competitions, everyone's paying the same amount of money, the entrance fee.
Yeah, and
they're all playing at what should be a fair game.
What's a typical entrance fee for like a local tournament?
So at the, I want to say the bottom of the barrel, but at the easiest scene would be your pub tournaments.
Yeah,
and they could range. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
They could range from cheap as $20 up to about $200.
So that's a just a tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, we pay like, I don't know, $150 or some shit for like just entering there. You might have one match and lose, and that's it. You're done.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's not worse than anything else, really.
Yeah, and also like as in sport, the more skilled you are, the more you play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't necessarily mean like the lower skilled people, like they don't. I'll scratch that. I don't know how to say it. Okay, now, yeah, everyone's paying the same amount of money. Everyone's starting at the same level.
Yeah,
and you're there to test out your skills. So, like in a tournament poker, it's fair. Like, it's the most fairest thing you can possibly see. But then there's also your typical cash games, where you're playing with real money.
And is this usually like unofficial or?
In New Zealand?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no. So there is actually, so you can like, if you have a tournament, if you have a poker game with your friends, and the only difference is if everyone chips in $20 and everyone starts with 1,000 chips, right?
Right.
That's your tournament scenario.
I see.
Right. But if everyone chips in $20,
but you can buy in more.
Or you can buy in more, but everyone starts with $20, but you get $20 in chips.
Right.
$20 chips. Then there will be a typical cash game.
Okay.
So it changes a little bit. Like I have been to house games where they'll play as a cash. And normally what makes it illegal is like if your host, you're the person providing the venue, takes a cut. It's called a rake.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because that's the rake, right?
Yeah.
How much chips lands in the rake is the house's money.
Yeah. So like that's the legality behind. There are a lot of poker places in Auckland that's not legal, but
yeah.
I
mean, that's the only real place that cheaters can probably do anything at that point, right? Surely, if you're gonna do tournament or like high stakes or like casino shit, you're not cheating there, surely.
I'm like,
you think it's easier and
okay. So cash scenarios. Oh, like, this is kind of putting myself out there. They're quite dodgy. I would be scared to cheat.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
If I was gonna cheat, I'd do it at low stakes. So like, I'm not saying I would cheat.
Yeah.
If I were to cheat, I would cheat at like low stakes game at like a pub.
Right.
That scenario I've seen in pub poker. A lot of people who sees on YouTube how to do second dealing and bottom dealing will come out and try to do it, and they're so obvious.
Oh god!
But like, for them,
so what, are you just like, dude? Can you like not?
Yeah.
Like what's the like? What do you do if you see that? You're just like, bro, can you like just fuck off? Like please, like let's crack up.
Yeah. So usually I'm the type that will like say, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Stop that, like cheating. There are some people obviously don't like cheaters, and they'll immediately, obviously violence is not allowed, obviously in public. They'll alert the host, and the host would decide to whether to remove him from the scene, or just not let him deal. It can happen both ways.
Yeah, and I guess in cash games, there's other options that we're not going to discuss.
Yes,
but
yeah. Well, it's hard to cheat in cash games, but.
Okay.
In cash games, if you do cheat, I would be very careful.
Yeah, sweet. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah. Not that I'm planning on it, but yeah. Okay, so obviously playtime is like the king, right? Like you can't get good at anything without doing it over and over.
Yes.
But like, what's the what's the generalized skill set that you're getting better at through play? Like, to give the chess analogy, right? So there's obviously like a fuck ton of openings that we could go in and actually look at through, one by one and explain why everything works and whatever. But then in the mid game, there's tactics that are just generalized, like things like pins, things like forks, things like discovered attacks, you know what I mean? So you have like a generalized sense of strategy that you can practice, even like puzzles to get better at,
Yes.
Is there such a kind of concept in poker at all, or is it much broader?
Okay, so if I were to divide this, like generalizing a lot. If pre-flop, as I explained, there's a pre-flop and post-flop. Pre-flop game is all about math. It's all about odds and playing by math. And obviously there's like a small scale where like you're looking at feel, intuition, looking at how other people are in their position, like their condition. Are they more relaxed? Are they like on their backs? Are they more attentive? Are they stressing? Are they like moving their feet, moving their hands? Like those are little smaller things. After that, post flop, it gets into a different territory where it's all about feeling, like where a lot more feeling is involved. There's this technique where you make up a story. Do you know any like okay? So do you know a poker player called Daniel Negreanu?
Yep, he's Romanian. So that's the why I know him.
Oh, is he Romanian? Okay, yeah. People know him as like the Canadian poker player.
He's Canadian Romanian, but that last name can only be Romanian.
Okay.
Negreanu is like, it's Romanian as fuck.
So Daniel Negreanu is I don't know if he's still but he's the most revered poker player in the world. He has what you call people say a hybrid player, and the hybrid player is being there's old school poker where it's all about post flop game analogy, just like I know what you have, I know I can beat you, and like playing as per that. And there's more new school poker where it's all about math. Like if you see any of the good like tournament wins in the past 10 years, it's all been just math genius
calculation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually funny because I was expecting you to say that, like, when in this talk, you know, I was expecting to say that like the biggest misconceptions about poker is that it's all to do with fucking figuring cunts out, and that it's all math. Like that's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. So there's a lot more feel and intuition that I was expecting, but also kind of confirming what I thought. Where like, you know, as you're saying, like the new guys are like really math based.
Yeah, all like about all the new poker guys that's coming up. I mean, they're so smart. It's all math. Like there's some skill, like some like intuition thing involved, but it's all math. For them, they can see how stoic in their face are. And they like when you were asking me like, do you calculate all that probability? They are. I'm not. I don't do it. It's just because it's so stressful for me. But those guys, like they're calculating to that minuscule like percentage. Just knowing with all the information that they have, all the information, even though it might be unclear information, but information they have access from looking at other people, they can start like. They can still make a good assumption based on like some small, minuscule information. And that's what they're really good at. And they're making right judgments at the right time. So those guys.
So it's really just about minimizing mistakes, right?
Yes.
Right. Because if you can consistently play like sound poker, then like over time, your money will go up, right? Like that's sort of the...
Yeah, there's a term that they use in poker called GTO. It's called game theory optimization. Do you know what's roughly?
I've heard about game theory. Yeah. I'm sort of hazy on the definition, but I like contextually understand what it means. But
so there is an equation, a mathematical equation to see whether your GTO is positive or negative or neutral, right? By having, it's like in your game of simple rock, paper, scissors, right? What do you think the ratio, obviously you have three options. What do you think the ratio of like GTO would be for that?
The ratio of GTO.
Yeah, like the your win chance rate.
Right. Well, 33%, right? Like 1/3.
Think a little bit harder. You have a draw as well. Obviously.
True. Okay.
So you're not really winning, but you're not also losing.
Not also losing. Yeah, that's true. So it's 1 in 4 then.
Yes.
Right.
Of losing.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say if I always just goes rock, like always rock, and the guy is completely random, I only lose a quarter of the time. Rocks I draw. That'll still be 1-3.
You would lose half of the time.
No. So if I have rock, paper, scissors, I only lose 1/3 of the time. Only lose to paper. Scissors I win, rock I draw.
Ah, I see. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So 1-3 will be your game theory optimization. So, but then let's assume your draw is will be your net neutral, and then then you should be right in that fact that your win-loss ratio will be 50. Yeah. So obviously, and 50 isn't bad. But and obviously it's a lot less in poker. But trying to get that as close to 1 is your goal.
Right.
Yeah. to maximize the ratio to win. It's like over time kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm assuming this isn't like an equation you're running in your head the whole time, but it's sort of like a concept. Like
This is a concept. It's like you play with whatever cards that will optimize your wins. Like obviously, like if you have ace 10, like I gotta say, that's for the example, when you had ace 9, and like in the chart of all the poker hands available, starting from aces, like ace, down to 2-2, and all the combination in between, right? Ace 9 is beating all ace 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, because ace. There's a chunk of that where, your hand is beating them. So each hand is has a certain ratio of wins against whatever cards, and there's all these like
a statistical strength of the hand.
of the hand. Exactly.
And I guess the more you play, the more you like know how strong a hand is, right? Like you don't have to calculate it. Like, oh, that's whatever. Like,
exactly.
Right.
Like two, like because you only dealt 2 cards, so your strongest hand will be your aces, ace.
Yeah,
and then the weakest would be there's a lot of weak hands. Weak hands will be like 2 cards of like
offsuit,
something like that. Even 2-2s is deemed good. Like ace 2 offsuit would also kind of be like, there's this chart like
2-7 would suck, right?
2-7 would be your worst scenario.
Yeah.
So there's
because you can't even get a straight. No.
You can. 1 card straight is possible.
1 card straight. What do you mean?
Okay, so
straight is the one they go in order, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can have on the board 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you have your 1 card straight. Gotcha. You only need to make a combination.
Gotcha.
Using 2.
But then
one of your card.
But then there's a high chance that someone else
has a higher straight. It's also possible.
Yeah.
If I let's say I have 2, 7, and the board is 3, 4, 5, 6. Right.
Yeah.
I have a 7. The other guy might have a 7 or a 7, 8.
Yeah.
He has a higher straight.
Right.
And that's the scenario there. Like those are what you call like 1 card straights. It happens a lot. It happens a lot in poker. Right. What was I trying to say?
Oh, sorry, I interrupted your train of thought. You're talking about the strongest hands, weakest hands.
Oh yeah. So there's this chart on Google. Like this is like your typical. So this would be your typical order possible ranges. So starting one on the right top being aces and 2 deuces being at the bottom, and there's all that combination and the possible.
Right. And so I'm trying to figure out what the chart's showing me.
Okay. So
is that strength or is that
no? So
it's just the options, the possibilities.
Yeah, there's all the possibilities.
Right.
So on this side you have your suited, like if it's suited or not, and this is your off suited.
Oh, okay.
And there's like it's really hard to, because we're talking about a different form, the different technique skills, which is ranges.
Okay.
And
what are they used for?
So ranges is different. It's also like it's understanding your opponents is your skill. This is what ranges are talking about. Ranges is obviously when you were doing your stats, right? Ranges is like what is the start and the finish, right? So when you're talking about ranges, it's like what is his playing range?
Okay.
Your loose players will be people playing like 5-7 off, like offsuited.
Okay.
Sorry,
Why are they considered loose?
Oh no, the loose players are like players who play every hand that plays that makes just they play. If you play a lot of hands,
Right.
they tend to and makes more action. They're what you call loose player.
Right. So they're like less accurate. They're just sort of.
Yeah, they're just having fun.
Mhm.
Not necessarily always, but like they play. They're playing more hands than other people, and then you have your tight players who only plays when they have the premium of premium hands, like aces, kings, like ace king, and stuff like that.
So I guess a loose player could be hard to predict because he could be bluffing because he just fucking plays every hand.
Yeah.
But then a tight player, if he plays something, you're like, fuck, he might have some shit here,
Yeah,
but he might not.
you might not as well.
The
Yeah.
one time out of 100, he doesn't have anything, but he still wins. Yeah, okay.
So it's like ranges are used to understanding your opponents. The more you play with them, the more you understand. Oh, is he a tight player? Is he a loose
So
player?
is specifically ranges referred to like what hands are they playing? Like how would you use it in a sentence? I'm trying to wrap my hand around this concept. Like,
ranges is used as like so ranges will be used in a scenario where depending on the board, and I need to come up with a scenario where how what your actions and your reaction fits into the story.
reactions meaning like bets
Yeah.
that I do after someone else, or like the actions I take after someone else.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like yeah, so I'm looking for that. Like, is he proactively attacking, or is he proactively defending, or is he like? I'm trying to see, like, if he's like. So if I know from experience that you're a tight player, right, and I know that he only plays the premium or premium hands, and the board comes out like this, right? Like that, right?
Okay.
And I know you're a tight player, and I'm a loose player with like, let's say, like 8 and 9, right? I know I'm losing. Like, I know from
Right, because that means that I must have something, otherwise I wouldn't be playing.
yeah, like this is where all like so pre-flop would be like pre-flop. If he has premium hands, he will make the call or even raises. I can decide whether I want to call or not. Obviously, I have decent enough hands.
Like you need a 10, right?
Right. No, so like I've like this is all pre-flop when this is not shown.
Right. Oh, I see pre-flop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pre-flop. This
yeah.
is like if the guy who's a very tight player makes a call, makes a raise, then I know, okay, this guy, because I know from history that he's a very tight player. He either has an ace, king, queen, or jack, right? And I was like, okay, but we're all playing on the same board, right? So if his cards don't show up, if his king, queen, jack or ace doesn't show up, I might have a chance at winning this. And I know he's a tight player, but I know anything can happen on this, so I'll make the call. And if the ball shows up, queen, jack, king, I know straight there and then I was like, oh, okay, so he hit, like, it's very, very likely that he hit a pair. Like if he like king, queen, jack, he would have hit something. I'm completely missing at this point. Even though I know I have a straight, because I don't know, he might have an ace, and if a 10 comes out, I might have a straight, but he also has a straight as well.
Yeah.
So I need to be wary of that. But like,
and if he's a type player, then he's playing a good hand, so he is a higher chance that he has an ace or something good.
Yeah, all that small like, all the little information that you gathered
through many hours of play.
playing. Yeah.
Well, do you keep a like a note on people, like in your head, like write it down?
I used to.
Yeah,
I do have this book at home that I have records of few players that I deemed. It sounds so like. What do you call it?
Well, no one needs to know who they are, so you can.
No. It's like no. It sounds like very. what's that word? Like I have this book where I deem some players to be a lot better than me,
Right.
and in order to beat them, my goal was to understand how they play.
Right.
So I do keep a track of notes of people. Oh, this sounds so sketchy though. Of like their like strategy and stuff. Yeah, so
No, that's good.
I
So
shouldn't have said that. They
now,
know it now.
now people are gonna keep tracks of you. Like, oh, I'm gonna get this guy back.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure people in Auckland that plays poker, they because I'm a very unique player. Oh, it sounds so stupid as well. But while I enjoy math, I also like socializing with people and like getting to know how people react. Is like you can do a lot of that by just talking to them. So there are a lot of players out there that would not say a single word when they're playing.
That sounds boring as fuck, though.
It is very boring. But it's like it's their game. If they don't want to talk, I don't force it. So,
I'd be that annoying ass fucking player.
Oh
that
yeah,
would just be chatting your ear off.
I've had chips thrown at me just because because I shit talk.
Yeah.
I literally,
That's great.
I had people like some guys literally got like so angry because I'm outing myself a little bit as well. Like I'm a sore loser
Right.
and a sore winner, which is like the terrible combination. So even if I win, I am the type to like if I'm having fun, like I laugh, right? And it triggers some people.
Yeah.
And they'll grab their chips and just in my face. It's like, and like in those cases, like you don't have to get angry. Like everyone's there to have fun. He's obviously enjoying, but I'm there to have fun. Sure, I can get angry, but I just took his money. So I think that's justified.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because like there's this whole like kind of like play style thing is a huge thing in the like martial arts community as well, like the jiu-jitsu stuff where certain guys in the gym will have specific games and very specific move sets and stuff, and like when I'll go against someone because it's in our gym, it's like, oh, like I'm not letting this guy go to this position or whatever, and I'm gonna play like a very, very specific game against him. Then I go against someone else and I do a completely opposite approach because they're and then you go to a tournament and you don't know who's up against you, so you just have to like try to read it in the moment, which is pretty hard.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like that's what poker is as well. Like obviously, same goes for chess, same goes for any sports. Whereas it's always like even in like all like high level sports, everyone is exceptionally good. And that's why there's a lot of emphasis on your coaches, a lot of emphasis on your teaching staff and your strategists when it comes to sports. That makes a big difference because everyone's, unless you're like genetically gifted, which some people are, but like in generally, I believe that even in most sports, it's all skill, like and understanding the game. Like, have you watched the movie Moneyball with I think Brad Pitt and with Jonah Hill? It's all about like that movie is about strategy, like not getting the top players, but finding the right players to optimize your win.
Is this the whole Dan Bilzerian thing? Everyone, well, Dan Bilzerian, you know who he is, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Well, as far as I understand, he like isn't very good at poker, but he just played against cunts that aren't very good either, and so he just
okay. So his name came up a lot in the poker scene. Obviously, the stage in New Zealand isn't as big for him. So and also there aren't a lot of players in New Zealand that's in that level. Like we haven't had a proper WP, like World Poker Tournament here in New Zealand since I think it was like the last one was in 2018 or maybe 19.
Okay.
And I think it was 19 because I missed that one, but I played the 18 one. And then I don't know, like there's a lot of like speculation and like whether like has he made all that money
Playing poker, or was it some other
but
shit?
even like when the world number one, which is like a former, well, I don't know if he's still, I haven't been keeping track, but like even Daniel Negreanu hasn't made
that
much money. Right. Obviously, his winnings is like the recorded winnings is like tournament winnings, which is different from cash winnings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I've heard some shit about potentially like, you know, him having that backstory as like a money laundering thing, and he got the money from his dad, and there's all this stuff. I didn't really look into it, but I've heard like rumors around that shit.
Oh, I think considering all the investigation done, like, I think like that side is true. Like it has records of his dad, like doing criminal shit, and he set up like a trust fund for Dan and his younger brother, who are both poker players.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's a convenient way to like,
I guess
move money around if you need to. I don't know.
I'm not 100% like that. That's a different realm of
right.
that. I'm also very afraid to get into.
Yeah, fair. I mean, if there's anything you don't want to talk about, we can always cut it. But Daniel Negreanu, you were saying how he's a hybrid player.
Yeah.
Do you think what is that a skill? Do you think people can get better at, like the intuitive part? Is that like a
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's just. I think naturally because Daniel has been playing poker for what I know for a really, really long time. Like there was I think it was like a documentary about him when I think he started playing poker like local pub tournaments since he was like before he turned 18. Like it was when he was like a lot younger. And he grew up in the early like 1990s and 2000s, playing against all these like old school poker pros back then. Like you probably want to know them, but like Boyle I can't remember his first name, but there was like this is guy. He hasn't been playing a lot lately. I haven't seen him being broadcasted. But there's a guy who wears the cowboy hat.
I think it's I've watched some tournament videos and highlights and whatnot. So I think I know who you're talking about.
He always wears a cowboy hat. He's very old school. Like he's your what you call old school player.
Okay.
But Daniel grew up Daniel when he was like playing poker. I think he was playing poker during that change of phase. Mm-hmm. So he was well versed in that the old school of poker, and because he was still young, it was easy for him to adapt to new school as well. That's why I think he's my number one when it comes to poker. Like there's other players like who other players do you know?
Heard of Phil Ivey?
All right, very news.
Again, I don't know much about him. There was
the one that gets really angry, Phil Hellmuth.
Oh, yeah, that guy too. Yeah. There's some good highlights on that. Yeah. There's a couple guys that I recognize the name, but I wouldn't be able to tell you right now. Yeah. But like if I see them, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy before.
Yeah. That's I think like the people who always gets featured on TikToks and
right.
I will be your Phil.
Well, there's just like I'll just watch like the crazy whatever, like it'll be some highlight, some YouTube video from back in like 2008 or some shit. Yeah. From like some tournament where a guy gets like a straight flush or whatever the hell, like it'll be like random moments that are like unbelievable or whatever, and I'll just be like, click on it, you know. But at the time, I wouldn't know what I was watching. It was more for the reactions of the people involved. But yeah, I recently saw that Magnus joined some poker tournaments.
Oh,
Magnus
has it?
Carlsen, yeah. Have you seen that? No.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
But
he's been playing kind of like, I think somewhat like as a hobby, but in tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, how did he do it? Like, I'm guessing obviously it's a different skill set from chess to poker.
Yeah,
But he has the mental knowledge and calculative
the power, the
Power.
mental power. Yeah,
to
I
do
think
that.
he did not too bad. I don't think he won the tournament, but he was like top something, like top whatever out of whatever. Like it was some, you know, upper I don't know, top 15 out of several hundred or something. I can't remember.
It's still that's really good. Obviously, he's at a mental level where no one can comprehend.
Yeah, that guy, like, you know how you say that online, you play several tables.
Yeah.
That guy can play like fucking 15 games of chess blindfolded, like simuls, and like what the fuck is that? Like, I mean, obviously he's not playing against like solid, straight, like really strong guys, but the fact that he can just play blindfolded like more than 10 games is fucking ridiculous.
Crazy.
Like,
Rather than playing poker, he should just stop playing blackjack.
yeah. Or do all the card
Card
counting shit.
counting.
Yeah, which isn't, as far as I understand, it's not so difficult. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's just like, to me, the way I look at card counting, people ask me about it all the time, being a magician and shit. And like, to be fair, most of my material is like pseudo gambling, you know, or like street cons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people kind of ask me about it, but I find that it's so much of a time investment for the casino to just kick you out, like within the first few times you do it. Like, I know that if you do it right, like, you know, you can lose on purpose so that they don't, but eventually they'll be like, get the fuck out. Yeah. So it's like, what the fuck, you know, like if you were in Vegas and you had several ways casinos you could go in with disguises and shit, you might be able to like rack up some money. But if you go to like, where are you going to do it in New Zealand? You'll get kicked out of the only casino and then you're done.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that's the way I look at it. Like, it's just like the time investment to learn card counting seems so not worth, but I could be wrong.
I mean, there's so many good casinos. I'm not promoting gambling or anything, but outside of New Zealand, like you go to Australia, like Gold Coast, Sydney, those are like.
Do you know about like the blacklisting stuff? Like, do you? I don't know. I've heard stories and shit, but like, could you get blacklisted internationally if they really see you card counting a lot?
I'm not sure if there's a blacklist that transcends the borders of the country. That's like international. But I know Sky City has a blacklist. A few people.
Low key, I want to just do it just to say I'm blacklisted. But again, I don't know if it's worth the fucking investment. You know.
For the people that I know that have been blacklisted, that like it's different tier in my opinion. Like if you go into the bottom ground floor, playing with like $10, they don't give they don't, yeah. But if you're really there to like steal
as much as you
can,
then
that's a different story.
Right.
Yeah.
So you reckon you can make like some slim pickings out of the low level tables for a while before you get caught?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people at the moment that's doing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, have you gambled before?
No.
You never been?
Never even been to the casino.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like the thing that it's like, well, I know I'm not good at the games. Yeah. Like if I was good at the games, then I'd go because it's like, okay. But if I'm just gonna go in knowing that I'll lose, like that kind of ruins the fun for me. Like I know it's like just fun or whatever, but it's just like, well, I can lose money in several other ways I can think of that are also fun. Like, you know, just buy a box of beers or some shit. I don't know. Yeah. So, but it's not something I'm against. It's just like, it just never happened. Like we should probably go sometime just to say we've done it, but
there's some fun games out there.
Yeah.
No,
kids, especially if you're under 18, go gamble. All right, sneak in, fake IDs. I'm kidding. If you're a lawyer watching, don't sue us. All right.
Not promoting gambling.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
No. Sponsored by Lootbox. No. To be fair though, if we got a like fucking one of the skin gambling dramas on Twitch and shit, you follow that?
The loot boxes and stuff.
To be fair, if we got an offer for a fucking loot box, I'll take the shit instantly, bro. I don't give a fuck. Give me money now, bro. But yeah, nah.
Was it the whole Twitch controversy? It was like sponsored gambling.
Yeah. But it was like they would do gambling on stream, but then the guy had stakes in the company of that was you know what I mean, that he was gambling in.
Yeah.
So they were like, I don't know exactly which one of these because there's been a bunch of them. Yeah, but I know at one point one of the guys was getting their website rigged to get better percentages for his stream.
Oh,
so it looked like you could win a lot more than you actually could because when you'd play, you'd fucking lose.
This is for gambling, right?
Yeah, I don't remember which streamer this was, but I remember there was a famous case. But this was a few years ago.
Okay. Oh well, so this is going into the story more about gambling, but there was a recent not controversy, but recent drama regarding this very famous Twitch streamer that borrowed, I think, from his fellow his fans and from other Twitch streamers, and he borrowed $300,000.
This isn't Ice Poseidon, is it?
No, this is a guy called Slick.
Okay.
Slicker? It's Slicker or something, yeah. I won't say he stole money, but he used lies to get other people and his fans to send them money so he could gamble.
And that's probably just full on addiction at that point, right?
Oh yeah. He admitted straight up that's the problem.
A lot of these streamers get gambling addictions because they make so much fucking money, and they're like, "What the fuck am I I just sit in my room and order McDonald's fucking delivered to me. Yeah. What the fuck am I gonna do with this money?" And then they just go and blow it. I feel like there's so many cases of that. Yeah,
there's so many cases. Your big streamers like XQC, Trainwreck, they do they get sponsored. I don't think they have ownership stake in the gambling site, but they sponsor 7-8 figures apparently to just play slots, play blackjack on their site. So
I mean, to be honest, if there's nothing as I said, the example where it's you're literally misleading your audience, showing that you can win a lot more than you can. If you're literally using the service as intended and you're getting paid by the company to play, not necessarily you're not, it's not really not that it's not your money, but it's they're literally just saying you just have to play. There's nothing else involved. I don't think it's that bad.
That's a very interesting take though.
Right.
Yeah.
It's if you're an adult and you're legally allowed to gamble, and you're filming yourself gambling, what the fuck's the problem? It's the problem when you're taking all your audience that's underage and being oh yeah, go and gamble with Bitcoin that you don't even need to show ID for. There's a lot of little things where it's that gets a bit dodgy. But if it's regulated, if you have everyone that's gambling is over 18, if everything's on the above board, I have no problem with that. That's the way I look at it.
That's a very fresh look on things. I think there's a whole movement where it's very anti-gambling on Twitch, and obviously Twitch being a public platform, they've decided to take the action of anti-gambling.
Right.
But
I think they got burnt too many times.
That's true.
There's just been too many issues where it's there's so many ways to slightly go over the line and this way or that way that they're just okay, fuck it. It's too much of a fucking hassle to deal with, I think. I mean, that's just my...
Could be.
Yeah.
You don't know the ins and outs of the whole Twitch drama and Twitch, how they do their own stuff.
Yeah. And Twitch streamers are getting fucked over. Didn't they just decrease their pay so everyone's pissed?
Oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, going back to poker.
Yeah.
What would you like to know?
All right. So you were saying, yeah. So there's like the pre-flop, post-flop. Is there anything like any more classifications of like turn, river, or whatever, or is that sort of just the same, more of the same?
More of the same.
Because it's just more information you're working with, right?
You're slimming down the
Unknown
unknown.
information.
Yeah, because like chess, like poker, is all about game of information. The more information you have, it's just more advantage.
Mm.
Like, yeah, because what you're technically dealing with is the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and more from obviously in a fair setting, you and I will have the same information. Same amount of information. Obviously, you don't know what I have, but I don't know what you have. If I can deduce what you have, there's more stuff I can do with, right? So this kind of leads into the whole. If you want to talk about it, we can later. Now, like regarding like how who was it Hans against like Magnus Carlsen,
Yeah.
and he was cheating allegations.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
right?
alleged cheating allegations,
Yeah.
which aren't very alleged anymore because we've sort of all looked at the stats and we're like, yeah, it's pretty unlikely you're the first player since in the history to get like, I don't know what it was, like 15 perfect games.
Yeah.
Like 100% accuracy in fucking chess. Like, I mean, it sounds pretty fucking dodgy to me when, what's his name? Fischer never even had one. Magnus, I think he's had like 2 or 3 in his whole career. This motherfucker comes out of the woodwork with like, over 10. You're like, suspect.
Yeah, it's very sus.
Yeah.
What Gen Z would call everything.
Yeah.
Very sus.
Very sus.
but-
For real. No cap, you know?
Exactly. Obviously, yeah, for that, it's alleged. We don't have a proof. Unless, like, someone finds, like, evidence, or if Hans comes out like, I cheated.
Yeah.
Like, until then.
They need to do one of these fucking prison, when you go to prison and they like make you bend over and spread them and everything to like make sure you got nothing on you. They need to do that for chess tournaments from now on. That's the new rule, bro. They need to like get sponsored by a prison and just, come in with the guards like, all right.
Do a full thorough pat down.
Yeah. Cough. All right. Lift up. Yep. All right. Yeah. You're good.
Yeah, metal scan and everything.
The thing is, what I don't get is like, how the fuck is he cheating? Because as far as I could see, they're scanning them. So if he did even the whole butt plug theory,
Yeah,
they're scanning for devices. So shouldn't that like pick it up? Like surely.
I guess so. I mean, that's why there's no proof. Like, it's like those tournament isn't like it was an official tournament, and they had their official procedure to negate cheating.
Yeah.
Even then, and that position and Hans bet Carlsen, like it's very sus. But in that point, you kind of have to be like, yeah, Hans, like by factually, Hans bet Magnus, right?
Yeah, it's weird, eh? Like I would have thought that if you ask me like, okay, I don't actually, I should probably look up the what their procedures for anti-cheat are, right? Because then you can kind of narrow it down. But I'm wondering, like, if you ask me like, okay, what's your prediction on like how someone will cheat in a chess tournament? I would have thought it would have been something to do with like drug tests, like beating the drug tests. If you can somehow, take fucking stimulants before a 6-hour game, that might help you a lot. I mean, I don't know. Like, it would have to do some tests. Maybe your decision making gets fucked. I don't know, but like something that enhances your like calculation ability. That's what I would have guessed. Okay. So it's interesting that the theory isn't like, it seems to be that he somehow introduced like a electric, like someone was clearly like doing the analysis outside of the tournament and feeding him information somehow. Yeah. That's like the theory, right? Yeah. Which is interesting because that's not what I would have guessed.
Okay.
Right? Like I would have thought like that would be really hard to do. All right. But now like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, It'll be interesting, like doing something. The problem is the chess scene in New Zealand sucks ass. So it's like cheating in the New Zealand chess scene. No one will give a fuck. Like, I mean, obviously people will be pissed, but like it's not a big enough thing to do that like you'll get worldwide recognition.
Exactly.
But my point is, it would be cool to do like as a magician to be like, all right, I want to like see how much I can do and do like a little like hidden documentary sort of thing, like cheating at tournaments and then going in and like seeing how much you can get away with and like how far you can take it. I feel like that would be really cool, like as a concept to show how like what's possible.
Yeah.
But again, in New Zealand, like it won't even make a splash, I think.
Yeah. But then I'm more like when that news broke out, I was like, other than obviously the like having like a computer AI making the right like call, like judgment, right? Other than that, what like I was thinking like, how can you actually cheat? Like how do you actually cheat in a game of chess? Right? And also, like Magnus Carlsen is number one. I'm pretty sure he will play against computers all the time and win, right? Because he's undeniably the best, right? There's a limit on. Obviously, this is like very like low understanding of the whole chess scene,
Right.
but I'm just thinking like Magnus Carlsen being who he is, being number one in the world for like such a long time, like his skill would have been much higher than what a current computing skill would have allowed it to be.
Nah, so I think this is not the case.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I wish I could know. I wish I knew dates. I wish I had a good memory and all that shit. I think it was it Kasparov that did that famous match in like the fucking early 2000s or like late 90s. I can't remember, but there was like this huge match where it was like the first time a computer beat like the chess number one player.
Yeah.
I think it was Deep Blue, I believe. Like Deep Blue was the AI or the engine that they used. And since then, engines have been getting better and better. So nowadays, like computers are like way, way, way better than any human player. The problem is that the computers are so good that they play in a very different manner than a human player.
All right.
So you could look at an analysis and be like, why the fuck is this the best move? And grandmasters will be like sort of confused themselves about why that's the best move.
Okay.
And part of the dodginess of Hans's alleged cheating was that supposedly he got asked about specific moves that he made that were like suspicious because they were like, you know, in terms of the engine, they were like the number one move. Yeah. But like, why, you know, it makes no sense unless you actually like are an engine. Yeah. And apparently his explanation wasn't like satisfactory. Like, you know, it wasn't like a good enough explanation to be like, oh yeah, I can see why you did that. But then it's been back and forth on this, so it's really hard to like really nail it down. But for sure, like computers are definitely better in the times allotted. Yep. You know, for a match, and it's interesting because nowadays, like the computers are such a tool for the preparation of the match as well. So like, I don't actually know historically like how much prep they did for like how many moves ahead, like how many moves the game would really start, if that makes sense. Like nowadays the lines are so long, like it'll be all book theory until fucking late middle game, and then now all of a sudden there's a slight difference that they're also still calculated because of reasons. So I don't know exactly like, yeah, if the game's changed because of the improvement of engines, I'm sure it has. But definitely, like, Magnus can't beat the top engines anymore. Like, if you played 10 games in a row, I think the engine would beat him 10 out of 10. Or maybe draws are much easier to, like, a draw is, especially as white, is very, like, way, way easier to force, I guess. So he might be able to force a draw in some of those games, but I don't think he'd win any.
Okay, so just going back to chess a little bit. Do you think the how games are run, like in chess games, has changed over time? Because it kind of like when you said it kind of it also kind of clicked. It clicked that with the introduction of online poker, right, where people aren't really face to face, and you're only calculating with your hands, your cards that's in your hand, and just the introduction of that has what led to the change of scenery when it comes to poker, more becoming more mathematical than old school where it's always been live poker.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of makes sense if you believe that the whole chess, like, not the scene per se, but like how the game is run.
We definitely have a lot more data, like on any specific like line.
Yeah.
So nowadays, like even on like literally chess.com, you can play a game and then you can see like at each move, you can see how many players have played that specific move in that specific position, like throughout the history of chess.com, and how many won and how many lost. Like, so it gives you like stats, you know, like you could analyze just online and see, oh, okay, so this is actually a losing move because 70% of people that played this move lost or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think like just the fact, especially with online chess, we have so many games that are being played and that being played that like we get more and more stats on like what the best openings are, where like, you know, what. So I think like if, you know, 30 years ago, what was considered like solid openings, I think now are probably like, oh, those aren't like top tier anymore or whatever. So I think there's definitely like changes in that way, but I'm not deep enough in the game. Like I'm not a high enough level to even be able to give you specifics. I just know it happens like in general. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. My like, I'm like at my peak. This was when I was like 13, 12. That's when I used to play club games and shit. Yeah. At my peak, I was probably like 1,600 online, which would be like 1,300, 1,200 in tournament, which is it's pretty much an average tournament player. Like it's bottom of the barrel, like, you know, pretty shit. But against any normal human being, like that doesn't play chess like a maniac, I would have fucked them up. But now I jumped back on recently because I was like, oh, I kind of want to get back into chess. Like, you know, it's been years. My rating's fucking shit now, bro. I'm not even going to state my rating on this podcast. I want to get it up before I even talk about it. I'm trash now, bro. But yeah, it's those like high level concepts that like you still kind of keep track of.
I played poker. I played chess as well when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I remember, this is like a small side story, but so there was an open tournament. I think it was an open chess tournament, and I was playing against this Chinese 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Got my soul crushed.
Yeah.
Got my soul crushed.
The amount of times I've lost to fucking prepubescent Asian kids, it's absolutely fucking annoying, dude. Yeah. Like I remember losing to like legitimately like a 7-year-old, and I was like, bro, what the fuck is this, man? Like, you know,
so crushing.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
that's why martial arts is really nice because it's very unlikely you lose to kids.
Oh yeah. You have a physical advantage.
But even then, like there's some guys on the scene right now. Like there's this 16-year-old out of like Austin, Texas. I don't actually know where he's from, but that's where he trains. And he's like legitimately like fucking up like adults, and you're like, bruh, what the fuck? Like when this guy turns 21, he's gonna be a fucking machine. You know, that's scary. But yeah. So
just going back to that whole cheating allegation. So I guess, I mean, for chess, just knowing how many moves ahead of time, making the perfect decision will be considered cheating. I mean, it is cheating. It's not considered cheating. It is cheating. Poker, there's been few. There's a lot, to be honest. But the way the poker players been cheating, there's few things. Like I personally witness. Obviously, like I said, poker is all about information. More information you have, more advantage you have. It's your typical marking. You can mark the cards.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just having more information. I also know like some players that will come as friends and one player would like signal
Mm-hmm.
to each other what cards they have,
Yeah.
and it eliminates a lot of the probability,
Gives you more information
more
to work with.
information to work with. But these are like a very small scale cheating.
Mm-hmm.
On the like the public scene, while back, there was I forgot the host, but the guy whose name is Apostle, right? If you play high stakes tournament, like on a high end tournament games, all playing cards are microchipped.
That seems like it would be easier to cheat.
Yeah. So what? So you know how like when you see a poker game
Yeah.
online, like on YouTube and stuff,
Oh, the cards come up instantly.
the card
Yeah.
shows up instantly. So it's done two ways. Some places have glass
Yeah.
with a camera underneath that you place your cards like this.
Yeah. I've seen those.
And then it will immediately update. Or there's a hidden surface under the table where you place your two cards, and it will read what that card is
With the chip inside,
with
or
the chip inside.
You wouldn't happen to know where to get some chipped cards, would you?
You have to. I'm pretty sure you have to like custom make, and also it's there like the RFID technology.
Yeah.
Like what you have in your like pay waves and stuff.
You're giving me some ideas, dude.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I hope you can find a way.
I mean, it's all I need is like 52 thin enough chips that work with the technology,
Yeah.
because we could put them in cars. That's no problem.
Yeah.
So
there was this was like a real big scandal back in 4 or 5 years ago, where the host was also playing the tournament, which is very rare to see. So he had access to everyone's cards, and he would look at his phone like from time to time.
that's
and
not obvious at all.
Yeah, it's just like everyone's like before he makes like a big decision, he like looks at his phone and makes an action.
Jesus.
And I was like, oh, that is weird. This is very sus.
Yeah.
Like,
Motherfucker couldn't get an Apple Watch or some shit. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ! Like, why you gotta be so obvious? You know?
so there was like that was like a big scandal. I'm just cheating. Like what I didn't understand, like there was like he was the host. Like he's running this high stakes event. Like people are bringing in like 10, 20K to play poker.
Yeah.
And he's making decent amount of money, like just running the game. He doesn't have to play.
And he's probably also the prime suspect if anyone thinks someone's cheating. So it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
So it's like, and more information that came out, and people like talking about his like cheating allegations. He made calls. So even though he had the only opportunity to call because he knows what your hand has.
Right. And so everyone at the table was like, there's no other way you would have called unless you knew all that. Right.
It's like they can choke it up to like, because if you make a really hardcore is like you're not 100% sure. Like so in the poker term, you either have the weakest hand or you have the nuts. Nuts is the strongest possible hand possible, right? It's one or another, right? And you have a middle strength hand, and that's the hardest. Like if you're lucky enough to always get the nut, the strongest hand every time, you're just super lucky. You're the best. You're gonna be the best player if you always get the nut. That's not possible. But the people who make the best judgment in the middle strength, that's where the skill level differentiates.
Because you have to try to figure out if they're below you or they're above you, and you have to fold or
if they're above me, there's also a strategy like, can I bluff him? Like, how strong is he? If he's stronger than mine, but if he's not that strong overall, can I bluff off him? Like, can I push him off his hands?
So the bluff has to also be like strategically timed, and like you can't just be bluffing willy nilly, right? Like,
yeah. So there's a novice player would think like, I just make my hands like I'll just like make like they'll just think, oh, I have good cards. Like if I bet more, he'll think I have good cards, and he'll fall. Like that's what a novice player would.
That works unless they have a good hand, and then you're like, fuck.
Yeah. And you're just being stupid.
Yeah.
Like if you're a really good bluffer, you've before even any of the cards are dealt, you already know what you're like. You continue with the story that makes sense, the most sense, and any players with like decent amount of knowledge would match their story with the action that you are doing, and would be so sure that he has a premium hand. Even though they have good hands, they'll fall. Like that's like a strategy of bluffing.
Right. But to know that, you have to be either really good or you have to have microchipped every single card in the deck and have access to it.
Yeah, but if you have, like, say, you have the middle strength hand, it's really hard to make the judgment, but he was making these, what you call hero calls. Okay, it's called hero calls. Like making the tough decision to
in the middle.
Yeah, to call and taking the lead, right? And he was making call. Yeah.
Sorry, isn't calling isn't much of a risk because you don't have to put in any more money, right?
Yeah. So there were times where, from my memory watching that video, that he would raise, and that's being real scummy. Like he knows by looking at his phone that he's beating that guy.
Right. So
he'll bet out.
And so you're saying the hero call is you're trying to make them raise?
No, so the hero, like, so a position how do I say it? Provided with everyone, like, information not being shared around, that he doesn't have access to everyone's cards, right? Mm-hmm. And he knows he's winning, right? He has a good hand, right? And if the guy he's playing against has a decent hand, but obviously not strong as him, we'll try to find a way to push him off his hand, and we'll try to bet high. And then it's his choice to whether to call or raise or fold. And there is by scenario, he shouldn't have. There's no way he can raise. It looks very suspicious if he raise in that position. So I think to kind of hide his cheating,
right,
he would disguise it as a call.
Right. It's like just a suspiciously timed call.
Yeah.
Right.
Like why would he, like, if he made a raise in that position with those cards, they would have brought up the speculation a lot quicker.
Right. But it would be at least more logical.
Yeah.
Right. Of a decision.
Yeah. So obviously that host, being like a poker player there, he is, even though he cheated, but he was a poker player. He knows what's the right reaction, even though he knows all the information. Like if it was caught that he was like doing all these like raises and stuff, then that's real scummy. But
right.
But I think even he knew, like that's his way of trying to hide the fact that, to let other people know that he's cheating.
Right.
It's just trying to disguise it as a hero call.
Right.
Then him actually knowing how other players have their cards and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So what happened to him? What ended up happening? Was like legal action or like?
I know I heard that there were some like legal actions being taken. I know that just his whole like games have been kind of halted. He hasn't. I mean, with the whole COVID situation, kind of got swept under the rug as well.
Conspiracy theory: he started COVID to put people off his scent.
like so if he has that much power,
Yeah. He took a flight to Wuhan.
yeah,
Fucking
he brought it to the US and stuff.
yeah. Broke down the door to the lab.
Just to hide his cheating allegation.
He's like, oh, the hero calls weren't enough. I need to do more. Yeah. No, that's cool. So all right. So those are like cheating and stuff. In the similar vein, right? You were talking about how you actually read some mentalism books.
Yeah.
To sort of work on your reading skills, I guess.
Yes.
What are some interesting things you've learned? Like, people ask me, slight tangent, but this will make sense, I swear. Yeah. People ask me, like, in the jiu-jitsu world, like, they go, oh, like, can you do magic? Like, can you do anything, like, does that help with fighting, or like, can you use magic in like fighting somehow?
Okay.
And I've had this question a few times, and I always say, like, kinda, but it's already ingrained in the art. Like, deception is a key principle of martial arts. Like, I have to, like, take something simple, boxing, right? If your hands are up and I just throw a jab, I'm not going to hit you.
Yeah.
So I have to either feint, maybe I hit you to the body, then you drop your hands, you're thinking I'm going to hit you to the body again. Now I can punch you to the face. Like, very simple idea, right? But it's these, like, the feints and the kind of redirections. Like, maybe I'll try a triangle with this grip here, right? You defend it. So I switch the grip and you think it's a different move, but I go for the same triangle again. Yeah. Like, just things that, make you think that I'm doing something else when I'm really doing this thing that I'm trying to do. So I would assume the answer is poker. Like, all these things are ingrained in poker, but like, I'm sure there's a slight crossover. As you said, you were reading mentalism and stuff.
Yeah. So I think the magic terminology I read from the mentalist book was conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So this is falls onto kind of falls into the item of acting. So let's push like all the pre-flop games out of sight, like post-flop is intuition, but acting is, I would say, is a very big part of poker as well. Like, acting is very important. Like, yeah. So you so when I'm playing like live poker, playing against somebody face to face, my key understanding was to look at their eyes, look at their whole whole body posture, how are they sitting. Like, that's very important. There's an article written about, like, a lot of people looking, like, just tracking their eyes can see, like, can kind of, like, if they're eyeing their chips more, if they're eyeing their cards more, like, what it could possibly mean, or looking at other people's chip, like as a sense of, like, greed, like, oh, I'm gonna try to take that chip away, like all those, like, small little movements of people, like, so that's like seeing little tells,
right?
Like, I think magic has a lot of, you can see other people's tells as well. So looking at tells is a technique. I wouldn't say a technique, but like a skill to have. Not necessarily like you must have it, but just
and I assume you use that to influence your decision making, but it might not be the only thing you go off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like so how do I so like, let's going back to the professional Daniel Negreanu. He's well known to read other players' hands, like, freakishly good. Like, he can tell exactly what your cards are.
I've seen some clips of that. Yeah, I've seen, like, and it's just like ace king, and like it's on.
Like, his pinpoint thing is so good. It's just So I think the only reason that he's so well known to do that is because he combines mathematics with old school poker, and it combined the positive of both worlds combined to make this special human being that can do that.
Right.
Like I'll tell you like a very fun story on a poker table. So I do pride myself like good at reading players. Sometimes it can be completely off. Sometimes it's like on the dot. And this was like it's a really fun story I tell to my friends when I'm playing poker. I was playing this home game, right? And everyone's pretty like tired and all. But then it's quite late, and the cards that were dealt, maybe like some poker players will understand this. So you were given 4. That was 3. 3. All right. So this is the scenario. So pre-flop, it was just me against my friend. He had pocket 4s.
Okay.
And I had pocket 3s, right? The flop comes down. So the first 3 cards came down as king, 4, and 3. Right? And the river turn card was a king, right?
Okay.
So both players has what you call a very premium hands. They both have full houses. But I have full houses of 3s. He had full houses of 4s. Right? And on the scenario and the way he was acting and the way he kind of gave away some information when when that king came down, I thought I have a premium hand. So I bet really high. I think I bet like $100 something. It was a small like game. Was like 100
for one bet. That's
it's pretty big, right? And he was contemplating whether to call or not. And he was shouting out all these like combinations that he thinks I might possibly have. And he was shouting like, "Oh, he might have king 3," or like that's like it was like a scenario that he came up with, like, and just knowing from that, and I was like, okay, he thinks I have king 3. I have a king and a 3, right? That means the only scenario that he knows that he's losing is that he has pocket 4s.
right.
So as a joke,
Right, because king. Right. Yeah.
So king 3, we have a full house of kings beats a full house of 4s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a joke, I was like, "What? Hey, I have king 4, right?"
Right.
And he was like, "No, that's not possible." I was like, "Why? I know you have 2 4s, but I have king 4. You're dead, right?"
Right.
Because he's dead. Because only way he can beat king 4 with his pocket 4s if another 4 comes out.
Yeah.
But he can't have a 4 that comes out because I have his 4. There's only 4 4s in there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he was what you call in the scene, like he's dead already, right? And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, like, and as a joke, it was like a joke and like a bit of strategy involved.
Well, I mean, I'm sure at the poker table, like all the jokes are specific.
Like,
you don't just fuck around.
So I was like, well, you have the 2 4s in your hand, and I know there's a 4 here, and I can tell you what my 4 is, my suit is, right? And wait, did I give you the clutch or the spade? Okay, so I gave it, and I was like, and I guessed it right.
Oh yes.
I guessed so I had 25% chance of getting it right. Sounds not that impressive because it is 1 out of 4.
Yeah.
But
no, but with all the other, like you called correctly that he has double 4s.
Yeah.
Which you didn't know, right?
I knew from where he was approaching the scenario.
Right.
After I
You
overbet,
knew he must have double fours, but you
double
didn't know for
fours.
sure.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
because he wasn't calling with, let's say,
He was worried about king 3.
yeah, he was worried about king 3, right?
Mm.
That means he doesn't have 3s.
Mm-hmm.
If he had 3s, that's not possible because I have all the 3s.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that only he, like, very rarely, if he has king 4, like,
He wouldn't be worried about it.
he wouldn't be worried. He wouldn't be worried. It was an instant snap call.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah,
so like that's out of the picture.
So in a way, you knew for a fact. In a weird way.
In a weird way, the way he was reacting, even though he hasn't physically shown me what his cards were,
Mm-hmm.
I knew the way he approached the situation that I knew that he had pocket 4s.
Right.
Right. And I knew for me it was like a gamble at that point. Like if I get it wrong, he's gonna snap call and I'm out. I'm dead. Right. But if I get it right, if I had that 25% chance to get it right,
Yeah.
and he will fold his hand.
Oh, dude, that's cool. Yeah.
And it's like there's those like little moments in poker that keeps me addicted.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And then what happened? So
so I guessed it right. He folds his hand.
did you show after? Or
Yeah,
no?
sure. And he was like, dude, how did you know?
Funny. That's so funny. That is so funny.
It's like,
I always see that where like when it's a really good call and they don't show the hand, it's always so unsatisfying.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like just these highlights and shit. You know where I watch fucking Neground or whatever,
Yeah.
and he will like literally like ace king or whatever, and the guy just folds and just puts it face down. Like, oh, like it would be so cool if he just showed. Like I know it's bad strategy, but still, fuck.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Oh no, you can tell. Like if he's the ace king, if he gets it right, and if he like it's just reluctantly pushes cards into the middle, it's like, oh yeah, I was right.
Right.
And you still have that satisfaction.
Right. Yeah, I can't relate with poker, but the closest thing I've had was I was doing a gig one time, and I do a trick where, as a byproduct of the setup at the end, whatever, I end up with one of the cards from the deck in my pocket, but it's like irrelevant. It's like it doesn't actually. It's just how I end up, and I have to, after I finish the set, I have to go somewhere, take it out, put it back in the deck, and we're good. And anyway, I go to a group and I start doing magic, and sometimes I just jazz because I'm bored or whatever, and it's late or whatever. So I'm like, name a card.
On right now.
Yeah, just name one, right? Yeah, he says ace of clubs, whatever, like whatever, and I'm like, oh, ace of clubs. All right, we'll use that, right? So I'm just going through like looking for the ace of clubs to take out the deck.
Yeah.
And I go through, and I mean obviously it's here, but when I did it, it wasn't in the deck, and I'm like I didn't know for a fact what was in my pocket.
Okay.
But I'm like, there's only one card missing that I know of, unless I dropped one somewhere, and it must be in my pocket. So I'm like, play it up, like instantly went full. I'm like, watch, nothing in my hands, right? Nothing in my hand. Watch, my hand goes in my pocket. I pulled the card out and made the slut, and boom, ace of clubs, and like everyone lost their shit. And then in my head, I'm like, holy fuck! Like I lost my shit more than the spectators. Yeah. So I can kind of relate in some weird way, but yeah.
No, but when like you get to a point where like when like everything just clicks, and that moment you just hooked.
Yeah.
So like those like little moments in poker is what I think what keeps players still playing.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I will definitely be giving poker a bit of a try. I don't think I'll ever play like tournaments or anything, but I think just it's interesting. Like with any scene, I've had so many fucking hobby. I get really into shit, right? So magic, fucking Rubik's cubes, chess, martial art. Like and every scene has like a depth to it.
Yeah,
that's very addicting, and like it's very interesting to see the similarities between all of these. Like getting good at anything is like very similar, like between disciplines. And so it's always interesting, like going down that path on a new thing. Like for me, that's pretty fun. I'm in the same realm as you. I think like this is just going into my story a little bit. Like I used to bowl as like semi-professional.
I used to like compete and go into the play league and stuff, and I had a really bad like shoulder injury, and I couldn't bowl. And then I had a few other sports that I played, and it was just fun. And then since last year, I got into darts. And darts has the same satisfaction. Like the more time you put into practice, the better you get.
Yeah.
And when you aim, because you're only 2.4 meters away from the ball, you're pretty close. But you're throwing this needle that's like this big, and you're throwing it with a precision and hitting this little segment on the board.
What is that actually? Like I've seen that you have to hit like the points right in between the thing to get that specific number of points.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you just go for? I mean, I know bullseye doesn't actually really mean much, right? In the real dart thing.
Okay, this is.
I hate to go into the rules, but I've always wondered.
Okay, so darts is interesting. Okay, so the outside ring on a dartboard is a double.
Okay.
And the inside ring is it's called triple or treble, right? You have your segments, so you're 1 to 20, and obviously double is times 2, and treble is times 3, and you have your ball. You have your outer ball and inner ball. Outer ball is 25 points, and inner ball, or sometimes it's referred as double ball, is 50.
Okay.
Right. There's 2 types of darts right now. In Asia and in America, the more soft tip darts is more popular. So it's playing on the electric board with a plastic tip.
Oh, okay.
In Europe, they're all playing steel tip. In New Zealand and Australia, steel tip. Australia is a bit half and half, but mostly steel tip. And in steel tip, the double ball is 50 points, but triple 20 is 60 points. And triple 20, the area of that is roughly 2.5 or 2.4 to be exact, times the area of double ball, which is 50 points. That's why, if you see dart tournaments, everyone's aiming for the triple 20s.
Right, so it's actually just better points, essentially. Okay.
You have more area to work with, and so you're throwing to that area.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah,
because I've always wondered, like, do they have to like add up the numbers to a specific number, or like, is there a?
Oh, they count down. So they all play a game called 501. So you have to finish on a double, which is at the end. Your last start has to be a double.
Does it have to be Does it have to be exactly to 0, or
it has to be exactly to 0?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a skill of accuracy
and very basic math.
Yeah. Just,
yeah. If you can't do the subtractions, you're wondering which one to throw it at. That's a problem.
Oh well, yeah. So they tell you because
right.
you count down.
I see.
There's a role like a ref called chalker that would chalk down the points from 501, whatever you score minus that. Write down the next what's remaining, repeat until you hit 0.
Yeah. So you're saying you're finding similarities between the bowling and the...
Yeah, so bowling is a very stationary sport. It's all about accuracy as well. Like reading your, like repeating the same motion over and over again is a skill in bowling. Darts is the same. You want to use a repetition of same moves. A lot of muscle memory that's involved. So you're keeping all your stationary body stable and only moving your...
What I found interesting about bowling, which I didn't know about and I didn't realize that was a thing. It's like there's like different grease patterns.
Yep.
And that changes the whole, like the way you play and the way you fucking do it.
Yep.
It's fascinating because again, it's that depth that like I see in everything. Yeah. But once you actually start getting into something, you're like, holy shit, like, I've been to bowling alleys, like I don't know about the fucking patterns and shit. Yeah.
Like if you guys like see tournaments, like the highest, like really top level sports, they create an oil pattern just for that tournament. And
it'll be different to other ones?
It'll be different to other ones. Wow. The amount, the level, the way it's structured.
And so what, do you get like several like practice, like do you get to like test out like the lane or whatever, or like
So normally that like they would tell each players what the pattern will be, and it's up to your access to be able to train in that. Not everyone has access to a private bowling alley to practice all the
right.
patterns.
So are there some people like really good at this pattern but not that good at other patterns?
Oh yeah. So different throwing techniques means have advantage over some patterns, and some throwing techniques have advantage over other patterns.
Right.
There was
That's so fascinating, man.
It's like bowling in itself is, for me, it was a very interesting sport. Like there's physicality, like physical movement that you need to master, and then you also have to master the theory and understanding how the lane changes over time. So every time, if you have this oil pattern on this lane, every time the ball runs over, it thins the oil, and like at early.
Does it create grooves where it's easier for subsequent bowls to go down that same path, or does it not really do that?
So what happens is when you know how if you have your car on like a water surface, and then you accelerate as the tires turn, you splash water back, right? So you have the ball that's spinning so fast that it's pushing the oil away. And as you push more oil away, the amount of oil drops down. And once there's no oil, the ball reacts. The ball doesn't slide. Instead, if the friction just pushes the ball straight into the gutter.
Right. It just grips that part.
Yeah,
so at that point, you just go to like no spin, just fucking.
Yeah, you just need to. There's two ways of people do it. They adjust the throw to match the conditions, or they move their release position. So throw a little bit
a different line.
Yeah, those like if they started if this is the whole bowling line like this. If they release the ball at the start of the game around there, they would start throwing the ball to start like a fresh new line. They'll start throwing the ball there to have the same reaction.
Right.
Like one of the best player at that time was like a guy from Australia called Jason Belmonte, and he was notorious because he bowled with two hands. So he would grip. So the bowling grip would be your middle and ring finger and your thumb.
Yeah.
But he would not use his thumb. He would hold the ball with his two fingers, and cusp the other with his left hand. Would cusp the top side of the ball.
Yeah.
And it would throw. But the way that throw is designed is to add a lot of spin. So he was destroying lanes.
Right.
And then he was like number one for a while, and I mean, that's like different side of the story, but
yeah. What happened? So how did you get the shoulder injury? Was it from playing? Or?
It was from playing. I was too eager. I was practicing like too much.
Right. Overuse sort of stuff?
Overuse, yeah. I wasn't giving my body enough time to rest.
Mm-hmm.
I was just more focused on trying to beat the next player who's better than me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get real addicted. And because you're exerting a lot of force in quick sessions, without like improper warm-up, you're very likely to injure yourself.
So did you like need surgery? Like was it like what was the?
I got a few injections on the joint area, on the back shoulder. There was like a point in time about a year I couldn't lift my arm up above my shoulder, so that was a real like what do you call it? Like stab in the
depressing as fuck. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
depressing as fuck as well.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because like in the martial art jiu-jitsu community, it's like Like, it's like talking about the weather. It's like, oh, what injuries you got at the moment? You know, like, you know, it's like small talk. Like, oh yeah, my shoulder's fucked. This thing's fucked. Oh yeah, getting surgery next week. Like whatever the fuck, you know. So yeah, injuries are like, I know what you're talking about. It's fucking sucks. Like I had a sternum injury which no one really knew how to deal with, for like a year.
So what's the sternum injury?
Like, it's hard to even describe because they don't. Basically, what had happened is improper like strength and conditioning, improper warming up, improper all the stuff, no stretching, blah blah. Over many years, I developed like this sort of like forward, like basically my like whole thoracic like chain. So my back all the way down to like my hamstrings just became fucking really tight, and there was nowhere for like, as far as I can understand, like still don't fully understand why, but there was nowhere for the slack to like for it to take slack. So it basically started like pushing me forward. So I was stuck in this forward sort of like hunched position, which was like putting pressure through this sternum joint right here.
That's okay.
Yeah. So basically like I was kind of like stuck in this forward position and waking up and like with chest pain every night. And like,
Jesus.
Yeah, it was, you know, like if someone like pushed my chest, I'd like be in pain and all this stuff. And turns out like we did all the stuff. I went to several physios, fucking all this shit. Like no one knew how to deal with it. Turns out I just had to stretch my hamstrings and like the whole thing like fixed itself. I mean, I'm still like, it's still doing rehab for it. I'm still like working on it, but now I can pretty much train like full force. But yeah, it's crazy. Like think about like, you know, you stretch like lower body to fix your upper body. It makes no sense, but
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that you don't have to like you don't have to go through the whole surgery and like getting injected.
Yeah, there was. I got close a couple of times with some knee injuries, but it turned out they thought it was meniscus, but it turned out it was just like with bruised patella, like the kneecap underneath got bruised. So they were just like, oh yeah, it'll clear up in like 5 months, 6 months.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, I've been like pretty lucky with like my injuries, but I know what you mean though. Like I was fucking pretty unhappy for about a year when I was like, I can't train, I can't do shit. I'm waking up in pain. Like fuck. Yeah, it's not fun.
It's not fun. Definitely not fun.
But good news is poker, you're not really worried about injuries. Maybe just like posture or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Paper cuts when people throw cards at you.
Get angry and start throwing chips.
yeah.
Face injury and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, poker, sure. But I think because poker is also very a luck base as well. Like I keep telling you, there's all skill, but some luck involved. There's always a time and period where all the poker players will just stop playing for a while, like a slump.
Okay.
Say slump.
Yeah.
Like I'm going through that right now as well, and only like a good way of trying to recover that is just straying away from poker for a bit.
So does that mean you're losing a lot, or it just means you just haven't been playing?
So my slump will be, we'll start off by just losing a lot, but losing a lot isn't really a good definition because you can be a bad player and lose a lot, right? But it's how you're losing influences the stress.
Like I should have made that decision. I didn't notice it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, or like when you're like in the poker scene, like you have it comes to understanding that bad beats do happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like bad beats, as in like what kind of scenario? Let's do some like really strict scenario. So I have pocket jacks. Not too bad, not too great. It's okay. Give you an ace.
How generous of you.
Yes, I'll give you 2 aces actually.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Just tell me how you would feel. Okay, so you have the strongest hand possible, right?
Hell yeah. I'm going all in already.
All right. That's not a bad decision either. Okay, so all right, the flop comes down like this. Right?
Right.
And this hand literally happened to me. not too long ago. Kind of pushed me off.
I'll just do it here just to make sure.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have a very premium hand, right?
Mm.
You have like, so I had the aces, but like I had like a flush draw in play.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like a diamond,
Yep.
like ace and stuff like that.
There also could be 10, Jack,
Yeah, well,
Queen, King. Yeah, Queen, King. There could
Queen, King.
Yep.
But that would just, that means it will be a chop.
True.
Because I have a straight, you have a straight.
Yeah.
So
even in that case, I would win with my triple, right?
Yeah.
That counts, right?
So what happened was, I was trapping, but he was also trapping. And then the river turn card was an 8, which makes me like,
right now we're getting close to that.
Yeah, close to that flush and stuff.
Yep.
And like, in this position, I think the guy jammed on me.
What does that mean?
He went all in.
Okay.
And obviously, me having at that position a best possible scenario, like another diamond will give me a flush. Like I don't think at that position he had like a straight or anything. Like straight might be, but like in that position he had like, I don't think he would have had a straight. But literally the river card, because river is a very terrible card. I don't like the river. Gave him a jack.
Oh,
like this kind of scenario.
Right. So it's like I did the best possible thing and I still lost.
And those adds up.
Right. And psychologically that's really hard to deal with. Yeah.
It's like there was like a period in time I was like, am I the unluckiest man alive?
Right.
These cards aren't like, obviously this is to like a very extreme.
Yeah.
Not to say that it hasn't happened on me, but like am I the most unluckiest man alive? I'm pretty sure there's other people unlucky, but at that point I'm very unlucky. I had so much equity, like we call it equity. It's like how many potential money that you can win. I had a lot more advantage over him. But even then, like my luck is like, cause if his only winning is just this card. That's what you call a 1 outer card. He had 1 outer.
Yeah, because there was 3 jacks on the board, so only one way to. That's so unlucky too.
And the one way of one outer is like, it's like 1%, 2%, 2%, roughly.
Yeah.
So
1 out of 52. Yeah, that's fucking rough.
And it happened. It happened like some variation of this happened quite a lot. I feel
like because I'm a shit player, this would piss me off less than me making bad mistakes that I realize after. Like, for example, in chess, that's why I stopped playing when I was like 13, 14. Because I would go into tournaments and I would spend, it was like 3-hour games. So that's I got 3 hours, you got 3 hours, more or less. And then you have plus like 90 seconds each move. So each move adds 90 seconds to the clock. And so you could technically spend like 6 hours or some shit in a tournament, right? Or in a tournament game. And so I was like 5 hours in this fucking game. Like everything's tight. Like we're still, like maybe like I've taken 1 pawn, they take 1 pawn. Like, materials equal, everything's good. And I'm hyper focusing on this one line. And I'm like, all right, this, that. I do like fucking, 15 minutes of calculation. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Sweet. Move. Fuck. I just hung my knight. Like, it's just like instantly, as soon as I touch the clock, I realize like, that's just like instantly they're going to take it. Like hyper focusing on a line to the point where you don't even see like the next threat.
Yep.
That to me, I could have like legitimately like fucking committed a crime. You know what I mean? Like I was that pissed, and it would happen so many times, like especially at the low levels. You just blunder like an idiot, and you're like this isn't something that like I couldn't have seen. This was something that was staring me in the face, and I just didn't see it. That to me is so like the most infuriating thing I've ever experienced. And I'm only getting back to the chess now because I no longer I'm now shit at chess relatively. Yeah. I no longer have an ego about it. So I'm like, if I lose, it's fine, whatever. But back at the time, man, I could not fucking believe it. It was so annoying. And the problem was my friends. Like I had 2 friends that were all same age, like similar age. also play with me, and they had much better. Like I for some reason would like hyper focus too easily, and like just lose out of straight blunders.
Yep.
And like yeah, so it would happen so many times. I'm like, nah, fuck that. You guys can keep playing. I'm done, and that's what happened. But yeah, I think like once you get to a certain level, then you're kind of like, you know, how you're saying, like you're making the right decisions and you're still losing, then that can probably be more infuriating in other ways.
It's just like this was like quite unlucky for me. I had like few, not to this extreme, but I had few that was just, I was just very unlucky. And then those kind of little scenarios added up, kind of pushed me away from poker for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Was this when you started playing darts, or was that kind of simultaneous?
No, I see darts and poker kind of like separately.
Yeah.
Like I realized when I was younger, I'm still young, but like a while back, poker was something like to keep me busy when I had nothing.
Mm.
But now, because I have other stuff to do, poker isn't the top priority anymore. So I kind of, in the last 2 years or so, have kind of taken a backseat when it comes to poker. I would only play for fun now.
Mm.
I do try to play in big tournaments. Like the whole issue is, we used to have big tournaments in New Zealand, but some stuff happened and it's no longer in New Zealand. Like WPT is not, it will never be hosted in New Zealand. The license got revoked, I think, from what I heard. Not revoked, suspended. No, anyways, they're not issuing the license anymore. So no more WPT in New Zealand. So if you want to play any WPT tournaments, you have to go to Brisbane, like Australia,
right.
Sydney, Australia.
Just adds the cost of the tournament.
Yeah,
on top of the money you have to play with.
On top of the money you have to play with. So yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, you know, priorities change, but you know, you're still in the game.
I still want to play some big tournaments before. Like my goal soon is like next year, I want to go to Taiwan. So if the American European side have the WPT, the Asian side have called APT, Asia Poker Tournament.
Okay.
And it's held around the Asian countries in like Macau, Hong Kong, Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Korea's kind of weird, but Korea, Taiwan, Japan. Yeah, so I want to visit Taiwan and I want to play in one of the APT tournaments that they annually run.
Nice.
So I might give that a go.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah, sounds cool, man. Yeah. Well, hopefully, you know, one day I will. I'll just see you at a tournament in Asia. You know, you just see me there, and then I'll be squirming because my butt plug is vibrating with all the information I'm cheating with. But
it's feeding you all the cards information.
Yeah. We're like, are these fucking things chipped? I'll just be looking at my phone every half a second. Yeah. Nah.
If you do find a way to get like, have access to cards that's chipped, and finds a way to secretly implant on other people's like table, just chuck me a message.
Well, I think the chipping thing is not that hard. I mean, like, you know, in terms of making cards.
Wasn't there a magic? I'm not sure if it's totally like. Hasn't there been like a magic gimmick or device?
Yeah.
Like I think I heard Morris talking about.
Yeah, there was some guy I remember reading. I feel like he posted on some like obscure Facebook page, and he's like, like this is my project I'm working on, and he made something like that where I think it was using some sort of chips in the cards, but I didn't see it like being mass produced or anything. Like it wasn't like, you know, it was his personal thing that he was working on.
I mean, I don't think it can be a personal thing. Like the microchipping cards is like super common. I think there was a whole video on like the episode on Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah.
If you obviously you've watched Big Bang Theory, and then there was I think Howard and Raj was doing a magic trick on Sheldon.
Okay. I feel like I've seen this clip.
Yeah,
That's magic related. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they I think Sheldon wanted the trick back, and because obviously he's not a magician, he microchipped all the cards.
Right.
Pick any card here, and then he'll pick it, and he'll just like have this wand that had a scanner and just beep, and then look at his hand like, here's your card.
I think I've seen that actually. Yeah.
So, like the microchipping card isn't uncommon.
Not a new thing.
It's not a new thing. Yeah.
But I guess the question is it like consumer, like, you know what I mean? Accessible. Yeah, exactly. And if it's not, you know, is there like a relatively inexpensive way to do it yourself, you know? But to be fair, like, honestly, like, there's so many magical ways to accomplish, like, in terms of magic, you know, like, I can't be fucked putting my 52 microchips in 52 different cards just to do the same shit I can do with, you know, other trick decks or even not even trick decks. Yeah. So it doesn't, you know, like for me, I just see BF. But like, there's definitely like you could take that to a pretty crazy extreme. We were actually thinking of, like I was seeing those chess tournament boards. I think they were made by DGT. And they have like chips in the pieces, and basically when you make the move, it automatically updates the software. Yeah. And I was thinking like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. You put a chessboard in the, you know, oh, here's a chessboard, blah blah. We just play a game of chess, and then, you know, at the end, it's like in this box that was sitting the whole time, there's like a printed version of the end game position or something. You know, like I was like, oh, that'd be a cool trick, you know. But then I also have to spend like fucking $1,500 on this fucking board that records records the movement. I'm like, this can't be fucked. Like, you know. Also,
that's like, just going to that side, like you and your player has to be. I don't know how you would program that. Also, like, because you have to be, because the computer is always smart, right? Smarter than what our human brains can comprehend.
Right.
And we'll be making a lot of like mistakes along the way.
For this chess game,
for the chess game.
No. So it'll be like me and you playing.
Yeah.
But then the game is being recorded digitally.
Yep.
And then we have the end, like let's say you checkmate me.
Yep.
And then we have like the position of the board as the end game state.
Yep.
Right. And then we have that digitally. So then we'd need that printed somehow, and then introduced in this box. Yeah. That is there the whole time. Like that would be the trick idea. You know what I mean? Like a prediction.
Yeah, like a prediction.
Yeah. So, you know, I thought about it, but I'm like, man, first of all, like it's no secret that there are chessboards that can record shit. Yeah. And then second of all, they cost like fucking $2,000. So I'm just like, it's not worth.
Not worth.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, cool, man. Thanks for coming. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna actually like look into, like, I feel like, even though you're saying like it's really hard to give like a comprehensive, like, you know, explanation of poker because it's so deep and it requires you to have a reference experience to even be able to like understand it.
Yeah. There's like in anything, it's not as simple. But I always say to my friends, if you want to go into like get involved with poker, rather than trying to learn from books or anything, just get that. Just play. Just play.
You need hours. Yeah, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is like, even though you know, it's all that stuff, I feel like the concepts you've talked about, if I saw them again in other contexts, I could like understand at least somewhat what they're talking about, like the ranges, like different positions on relative to the dealer. Yeah. You know, play differently, like all these sort of things where like I would watch tournaments and they'll be talking about, but I have like zero understanding. I feel like I can grasp some concepts now. So that's cool. I really appreciate it.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know that I was able to explain some aspects of poker.
Yeah, no, man, it's interesting, and I have a table, so you know, I fucking
you should invite some of your friends and start just like
playing
poker,
might do, yeah, for sure.
You have your whole like setup here.
Yep.
You can practice your
second deal.
Yeah, second deal. Like,
I've pretty much like because all my friends know me as the magician, even though they don't know that it's kind of hard to cheat in general, but you know, to create that persona of like, you know, I'll always maintain that like I don't deal, you know. I mean, I could technically cheat if I'm dealing, but you know. But yeah, man, thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. And
I hope it was good.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. It was really fun. Yeah, because I told you, like, every time I see you, like, you know, something magic or whatever, you're always coming from some tournament of something. And I'm like, it's either poker or darts or something. I'm like, man, this guy's like always competing with random games and stuff. It's really cool. Yeah. As you can see, like, I like games. So.
Yeah. I mean, I saw your collection of board games.
Yep.
They're not like, how to say it, like, they're not super classic. I mean, is that a Catan over there?
No, I don't have Catan.
Like, what's the Naruto game?
It's a deck building game. It's somewhat like, I would say, there's not a crazy amount of depth to it, but it's pretty fun if you're like just drinking and whatnot.
All right.
Yeah, I would say that my favorite are probably that one at the bottom, Spirit Island, and Eclipse at the very top. Eclipse is like a thing, you know Civ, like the video game. Civ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like Civ the board game, but in space. Basically, the best description. Different races do different shit, and you're like trying to expand and conquer and all that stuff. And then Spirit Island is basically a co-op game, so you're all playing against the board game. And you're like spirits of this island, and there's colonials coming in, and you're trying to like kill them, basically. So it's basically the opposite of Catan, where in Catan you're colonizing an island. In this case, you're the island fighting back. So, yeah.
I love board games. I played a lot of more deceptive games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Secret Hitler.
Yeah.
Coop.
Yeah, Coop. Yeah. I have like a AliExpress bootleg of that game.
Oh yeah. And like your typical werewolf.
Yeah.
And it's like a Korean. I want to say it's a Korean version, but like it's a very common like Korean like camp game. Like, and then it's just a different iteration of werewolf.
Yeah.
Or mafia.
Yeah, that's the one when I was like 12 to about 17, I used to go to this youth group. Yeah. Every Friday we'd play fucking Mafia. Yeah. And like because we were the same group of people, played for like 6-7 years, the same fucking game, we started like metagaming so hard.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like basically if in the first round Jeremy's not dead, that means he's got to be Mafia, because every time he's civilian, he wins. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like it's just, there's just so many like meta, like, you know, like one guy would be like amazing civilian player, then the other guy would be like crazy Mafia player. Then we started introducing like the neutral characters, the witch and the fucking whatever, and the what, you know, it just became like, because we were so deep on it,
once everyone's like well accustomed to the role and like the game
and to each other, right? Like because it's how you said, like in poker, you know how they play, so you can kind of
like we have few players like that. Like it's just like on a safer note, whether it's civilian or mafia. Like, just to be on the safer note, like, he just needs to die.
Yeah. Yeah, like it doesn't matter what they are. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It just makes the whole game a lot easier if he just died.
Yeah.
We need to kill him as quick as possible to make everyone's life easier.
Yeah. Now, the social deduction games are really cool, and I really enjoy them. It's just, after I started getting into, like, I wouldn't say hardcore gaming, but, like, more heavier stuff, it's almost like there's a depth that you can't reach with like social deduction, or, you know, these sort of like more, like for example, in Spirit Island, right? Like it's, the puzzle was so deep. It's like playing chess, but also you're playing Magic the Gathering at the same time, but everyone's co-op, you know, and you're all trying to help each other, like do this thing, and there's no turns. It's all simultaneous. It's crazy. So like the depth that it reaches is like really hard to reach with like kind of more like, I guess, lighter, like, you know, Mafia and stuff. So I've just been like kind of addicted to the depth for now, but I will always love those social deduction ones. Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Before I end the podcast, I'll give you another. This is a different iteration. Like when I was like going into depth about playing poker, that I used to play with my friends, and it's this isn't really math, but involves some understanding of tells and stuff. And it's a game called Indian Poker. I don't know why it's called Indian Poker, but it's called Indian Poker.
If I had to take a wild shot in the dark,
Yeah.
it probably originated in India in some way or fashion,
Could be.
or maybe the American Indians.
I don't know the history. But it's a game of it gives you a basic understanding of card counting, because you're only playing with 20 cards.
Right.
And it gives you a good tell of understanding bluff, understanding putting math into understanding how people react. And do you have any? Okay, we'll just play. We'll imagine that these cards are chips,
Okay.
right? And
We could use dice if that helps. We got tiny little dice there.
we need 10. Okay, so it'll just use.
Alright.
It should be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5.
I also play Dungeons and Dragons, so we have plenty of dice around.
Oh yeah, I've been meaning to try to find a good group of people to play D&D with.
Yeah.
I've just been watching and listening to Critical Role.
Oh yeah, they're good. They're great.
During my work. Like when I'm working, I need something to keep my ears in use.
Yeah.
So I always listen to Critical Role
Nice.
and Dimension 20.
Yeah.
And I was like, it gets me interested in trying to play D&D, but I just don't know how to get involved with that side.
The hard part is finding a good DM. Someone that runs a good game will basically curate good players and the game will run smoothly.
Yeah.
If you have an inexperienced DM, it's a bit rough sometimes. Because sometimes I've been playing for years, and at the beginning, you deal with players that are just they're not good players, so they take it as a challenge to beat the DM.
Okay.
And then if the DM doesn't know how to deal with that, then this guy will just meta game. There was one occurrence where he had this little thing where he could inscribe a coin with a thing every 10 minutes, and it would make a small explosion. And then throughout the campaign, he did that every 10 minutes, and I got a whole fucking thing of coins and basically created a nuke, because all of a sudden he's got explosives of a month of him inscribing coins or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's well, yes, you can do that and cheese the end game boss or whatever dungeon we're in. But also is that fun? You're just sitting there every 10 minutes going, yeah, I'm going to inscribe a coin. Yeah, I'm going to, you know what I mean? And then you get these guys that just literally try to beat the DM, which makes no sense. There's no cooperation in creating the story, So yeah, it's finding a good GM that curates players, I think, is the number one thing. At least it's the mistakes we've made through the years, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play some D&D, but first I don't know where.
Yeah.
And also the amount of time commitment that's involved with playing D&D is hard. There's a one game which is social board game that apparently is rated. Have you heard of a game called Diplomacy?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never played it yet, but yeah.
So if you see on the board game, it tells you roughly how long it takes to finish this game. That game requires 12 hours to finish that game.
Yeah.
And we play for only a very small portion of it,
Yeah.
on the early stages of the game, and it took us 6 hours because everyone the rules state that you have 10 minutes to make an action, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because everyone was talking and it was extending the time and was taking more time to act and stuff.
Yeah, this is classic board game problems. I mean,
Yeah,
I know the feel.
It was so we actually, me and my friends, we rented out an Airbnb, and we had 8 players all in that one location, and we played Diplomacy for 2 days, and it was a fun day, a fun excursion out.
Yeah.
But we're never doing this again. So much work trying to play one board game.
Yeah.
Going back. Okay, so let's play this quick game before Yeah. So these are just imagine there's 10 cards. They just imagine they're chips. They're worthless.
Okay. So are these chips right here?
Yeah. Oh, and you have there's 10. So there's 2 sets, 1 to 10, clubs and spades.
Okay.
Right. I'll shuffle them again because we saw the cards. The goal is, we each
Wait,
so
10 chips each, right?
Yeah.
We'll do it in the different color. So
it might be easier. So by going by oh yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll take turns as dealer. So I'll deal first. So dealer. So I'll shuffle it. So you take the first card and you place it on your forehead. So I can see what your card is,
but I can't see
but
what
you can't see your card, and I do the same.
Okay.
And then if your card is higher than mine, 1 being the weakest and 10 being the strongest,
smart, cool.
You can bet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a quick Indian poker tournament game that I don't know who developed, but I saw it as an opportunity, a good skill to have, because you're understanding. There's another term. It's called sizing your bets.
Right.
This is so much terminology and skill, like theory behind that. Like bet sizing is a thing. But anyways,
no, it's cool because it's like it's jargon in a context that I understand.
Yeah.
So if I hear it again, like I have some reference point, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like completely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you place one,
Okay,
and
so
I place one, and then after we show down, they go into the discarded section, and then once we exhausted this deck, unless someone loses all their chips, that gets shuffled and back, and then we repeat until someone takes all the chips.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm dealer. So you take the first card.
Okay. So I just take it.
Yeah.
I do this.
Yeah. And I do this. All right.
Okay.
So you make the first action.
Okay. So I have to bet.
Yeah. So you can we all start with one
Okay.
card.
So we
Ante.
So I call, or was that?
So no, we always start with one card.
Okay.
So you can choose to bet more.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to just check.
Right.
Which gives the action to me.
Yep. Okay, I'll just bet one.
Okay. And I'll fold.
Okay.
And then we show down.
Nice.
Yeah. See, because I know that I saw your 10, and you bet.
All right. So now I take that.
Yeah. Okay. I want to know why even like ace a high card.
Yeah.
What made you decide to make a bet?
Because I figured if I just check, then you have a somewhat high card.
Okay.
That was my thinking.
All right. So you're a dealer. So I got the first card. Yeah.
Okay.
So everyone starts with one
So
card.
we start one, and then you're betting this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet 2 cards. So 3 cards total.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying with like knowing the player or whatever, because I'm like,
no, okay, so you just call either re-raise and we show down.
Okay, yeah.
So that's my cards.
Nice.
Okay, your turn. Yeah, I think
because it would really change my decision making if I knew you were like super tight.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, well, he's not gonna bet unless he really has something.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah. Okay. So now I draw.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So we start with 1.
Yep.
Okay. I will put up. I'll put up 1.
Yeah, I just fold. I fold.
Okay. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice.
That makes sense.
All right. So your dealer, I get the first card. Yep.
And we put in 1.
Yeah.
And then you're starting.
Yeah. Just 1 card. Just 2 cards.
Okay, I fold.
All right.
Yeah. That was a good fold.
Good fold. All right. Your card. So.
And now I take?
Yep.
Cool.
Oh, right. You have the first section.
Oh, so okay. Um. Okay, check.
I just go another card. It's 2 cards.
Fold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that's when you were trying to like raise very slightly to not make me scared, right?
No, well, so my understanding is, I know you had a 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what my hand is, but the chances of me beating a 3 is high.
So it's always better. But if you raise 2,
yeah,
like even if I was thinking of checking, checking, is that what it's called? Yeah. Calling. Sorry. Even if I was thinking of calling, if you raise 2, I might be like, fuck that. I'm not calling 2 because I know you have a 10 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But if you only put 1, I might call because I'm like, it's just one more.
Well, so you know that I have a 10, right?
Mm.
So okay, so call might be like
it's obviously a bad,
obviously a bad decision.
Yeah.
But this game gets more interesting because we're depleting the cards.
Mm. Oh, true.
I'm just giving you a hint already.
Yeah.
We've exhausted 2 10s. There's no 10s anymore. Right?
And it's 10 max in this deck?
Yeah, 1 to 10. Ace being the lowest.
I see. Okay. I was thinking there was Jack, Queen, King, but yeah, you're right. There's only 1.
Yeah.
I see.
So I hope you memorize all the cards that's been played.
I know you have, but I'm gonna pretend I have. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally memorized. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's great. Great. You'll get more fun later on.
I know there was some 3, some 5, or some shit, but I don't remember much. All right, let's try. So who's?
I think you're dealing now.
Okay, so you go first.
Yeah. Cool. So more like as these cards get closer and closer, right? It gets more fun.
So that's
all right. We have your ante.
And then who starts again?
I start.
You start.
5 cards total.
Okay, I'll
you have 6 cards.
Yes, I have 6.
7 total.
So I'll raise.
Okay, interesting. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, the official rule is now it's just luck. We just
the next one wins.
The next one wins, basically.
Sweet.
But
this is gonna be a poker highlight.
Yeah, this is literally luck now, but it happens sometimes. So
yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter, right? We just show.
Yeah, it doesn't matter actually.
The poker professional wins again.
Just I mean, at that point, it's just it pushes on.
Yeah.
Just going back to this, like, okay, so I could have folded. Oh well, no. So I knew because you know how depending who acts first, your decision changes, right? Because I was acting second, and I was first to it and knowing your cards. That's why I can bet high. And then when you re-raise on top,
you know you have something shit too.
Then I'm just like, okay, like then like the option, like I knew from you re-raising is that I either have an ace or a 2, the 2 bottom cards, right?
Yeah.
So,
but why wouldn't you think like maybe also could be a 3?
Nah, I think 3.
3, I wouldn't be so aggressive.
I don't think so. Maybe if I had a 3, you would have been afraid of, because we haven't had like an ace or 2.
Yeah.
So 3 out of like, yeah, because I know you for a fact you had an ace. So the change. There's a thinking about what has changed, but the decision here, I could have folded and try to tackle you out of this.
Yeah.
But the reason I called and normal rule, because I didn't explain that, I didn't think it would happen, but normal rule states like it's now luck.
Yeah.
because I still, even if I lose this and you take all this,
You still
I
got
still
some-
have some chips
Mm.
as like a strategy. If I was short stacked, right?
Yeah.
And knowing that, okay, so as if I was in your position and when I raised, you would have immediately in your head would have been like, okay, I have low cards.
So you wouldn't go all in because you're like, fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
You would just check maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
call,
if you
call.
even if you know that I have low cards, you have to be under like because I went so high over bet that you would have like think, okay, I might have aces. I might have ace as well. Then we are tied. Then I'm putting the next round
Up to chance.
up to chance.
And I could lose. I could be kicked out of the tournament. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So based on like the how you're doing chip wise, that's also affecting your decision too.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, there's so much aspect when it comes to poker. It's
Yeah.
really hard to explain everything all at once.
Yeah.
But depending like you need to understand chips, how like your stack size comparable to other players.
Is this more important in tournaments than in other type of games? Stack size?
Yeah, tournaments will be very important
Because that's what
because
keeps you in,
everyone's starting at the same time. Cash games is also the same, but cash games is a little bit different because like
Can you just buy in more?
you can just buy in more.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people buy in with like 20, 30K, and I'm like alone there with like 2,000s. Like, please go easy off me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people out there that's just money is not a thing.
Yeah.
And you're just disadvantaged. Like because like I had more chips, I have more options. If you have less chips, like how you had less chips,
You're stuck in like your decision is kind of like made for you.
yeah, it's
If
limited.
you haven't, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I know this isn't really poker, but like it teaches you on one the fundamentals. That's in my opinion, and I think it's a good game. Like I've incorporated this with like drinking.
Mm.
So like rather than chips, we'll do like shots depending on the difference.
So you bet shots,
Yeah,
and then whoever loses has to take the shots.
yeah. No, so the games would be it'll be 4-2, right? And I'm beating you by 2 cards, like 2 numbers. So it's 3 and like the difference between this is 2.
Yeah.
So you'll drink 2,
Ah.
right? But if you fold your 10, if you had a 10 on your head and you fold it because the guy had like a 9, right? If you had a 9, I had a 10, and I look and you bet high, and I was like, oh shit, I don't think I can beat a 9, and I fold, and it turns out I have a 10.
Yeah.
Then I will have to do 10 shots. And that's like a good drinking game as well.
Yeah.
It's,
At that point, you're just like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go puke for the next 3 hours.
Yeah. it's a good poker skill to have. Like depending on the situation, like I think we play really like orthodox right now, but like even like another strategy I can have is like if you like to force you to fold a 10. Also, like, luck is a little bit involved. That if you have to hold a 10 while I'm holding like a decently high card, like an 8 or 7, I'm first to act. If all those conditions are met, and I know I can push you off, and finding that perfect timing, I can bet a lot.
But how would you know? I guess you're taking the chance that you have a high card.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as we have started depleting the cards, the options of like the choices are limited, and I can make that deduction.
You know what? There's a game called Sheriff of Nottingham. Have you heard of it?
No.
You probably like that one. I'm not very good at it, but basically you have every round is like one of the guys is sheriff, everyone else is like whatever, and you take cards and you have like goods, so apples, bananas, whatever, bread, whatever the fuck, and then you have contraband, which are like illegal goods. And you're basically declaring, like you put face down and you go, all right, I got 3 bread here. All right. Like, do you want to look at it or not? Like, whatever. And then if they look at it and there's contraband, you got to pay them. If there's no contraband, they got to pay you.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole thing of like bribing. So you can go like, oh, I got 3 bread and here's $2 not to look. And if they take the $2, but there's contraband, now they still got to pay you. So you kind of like bait them into checking. There's a whole little like game there where like you can bribe them to not look. And if you're bribing them not to look, but it's not high enough, it's suspicious. So they might check it anyway, you know? And it's like there's all these things. So that's probably a game for you that you'd probably be good at.
I think there's a form of that. I think the people play. I think it's called bullshit or lies.
Yeah.
I think similar.
It's like another one. I think it's cockroach poker. That might be different, but
like you say, like you have like 3 sevens and you put it face down.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you don't have 3 sevens.
Yeah, this is like the board game version of that.
Oh yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like those kind of games when you're trying to like outsmart the other players.
Yeah, the problem is like whenever I play Sheriff, it's like I feel like I'm just taking wild stabs at like either lying or not lying. Like I don't feel like I'm like setting anything up.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it must be just like my own inability or whatever. But yeah, I always feel like, oh, I got away with it because I got lucky. You know, like it never feels like
it was pre-planned.
Yeah, like I'm never like, oh, he's not going to check it this time because he did this and that and this last turn. Like it just feels very much like I'm just going to bullshit my way through it and hope for the best, you know?
Oh yeah.
But
yeah. Not like this. Like there's a saying. There's last year when like Daniel Negreanu was playing this really high stakes poker, and there's a YouTube video of it, and I watched it not too long ago just to kind of like refresh myself. And there's a saying, and he tells like how it's like, don't you just love it when everything just falls into plan? Like I think that's the way I said it. Like he set this up so perfectly.
Like he used keywords or what?
Like no, he set it up like he was playing online.
Ah, right.
But the way he was structuring like the amount of bet, like because he was going for a bluff, but he was representing a really good card, and everyone knows who Daniel Negreanu is. Like it's like in the names right there, and when they take
So
a
people
seat.
are probably playing specific, like kind of different towards him, right? Like
Yeah, like you give them more respect. Yeah. So obviously he knew he was playing against Daniel Negreanu, but like but Daniel has like set up from the start of that when the card was being dealt, he planned it out. He understood what the opponents had, and he set up a trap so nicely. And he just like, don't you just love when everything just falls into place? Like the plan goes ahead like perfectly.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's I think it's like it's having the knowledge to set those things up is what defines you from a novice to expert.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I can see that similarity in everything, man. Yeah. Martial arts, magic, fucking life even, you know?
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. This has been an eye-opener for sure. And yeah, man, one day we'll jam some poker at some point with like 3-cent coins.
Yeah, we should get everyone together and play some poker.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, fuck yeah. Get fucking Morris or everyone. Whoever can cheat and not get detected wins a fucking, I don't know what they win.
Like, were you? I don't think you were there. I think you were part of ACCM back then.
Yeah, I was at the very like.
But were you there at our first poker game?
No.
Because we actually hold a poker game.
Really?
At my place, like on a poker table. Obviously me like not having a good magic background or not being a card mechanic, and we actually had a poker game. It was fun, and I know for a fact. Well, according to Morris, who was the adjudicator, that was overseeing, he wasn't the guy. His role wasn't to like point it out and say you can't cheat. His role was to just kind of see how who are cheating.
Yeah.
And there were some good cheaters there. I was still quite like new, and this was more like a fun environment.
Yeah. So you're not super stressed.
I wasn't super stressed about it, and Morris was just there to just observe. And yeah, I think Morris saw some people doing bottom.
Oh yeah.
Seconds.
Yeah.
It's like good. It was a good day.
I reckon in those scenarios, bro, just a tiny little mirror as you're dealing. That's all you need, you know? Like just like a ring with a tiny little reflective surface. Boom.
Shit, I haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, if you can see the card.
Yeah,
Oh.
as you're dealing, yeah. You don't have to fuck around, you know?
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah. Giving you ideas. Anyways, man, we need to do we need to do a retake on that first trick because I fucked it. So
all right, let's do it. Show me.
cool. But yeah, if you're watching, thanks for watching. Subscribe to all the things. We'll catch you on the flip side, baby. It's been a podcast.